I missed they made the mute they made the unmute button smaller. I swear to God, I'm clicking for like 5 straight seconds to unmute us. Anyway, hello everybody. Welcome to the 24th or 23rd. I forgot. I lost count. I also had very little sleep last night. This is going to be a very interesting Q&A. It's also April Fools. We already kind of did our April Fools, but we'll do it again at the end of the stream for those who haven't seen it yet. Yeah. My name is Nick, aka Goknek. I'm the project and development lead of Momentum Mod here with some of my lovely team members to answer some of your burning questions that you ask us over in our Discord, !Discord. Yeah, so I guess we can introduce going down the list of Discord names here. Who's with me on this call, and we'll get going.
I guess it's Big Baller B. Let's start.
Yo, it's me.
Big Baller B. We got him.
I don't need an introduction.
There is no introduction. All right, moving on to Tom then.
Hi, I'm Tom. I'm web dev lead. And yeah, I do web and UI and stuff. Hi.
A lot of dev. All good. Moving on to is Mac.
Yeah, I'm here. Hello.
Hey.
I make maps sometimes. I working on the tutorials at the moment, and just recently I've got into coding a bit. So I've just been helping out with some of the tooling.
This project has many opportunities for those looking to sharpen or learn different skills. So
baby programmers, yeah.
Yes. And then we have Panzer, I think.
Hello, I'm Panzer. I've been working on BSP convert to Defrag.
Oh yeah. We showed off a couple of the maps in the last Q&A stream. For those who didn't catch it, feel free to clock in and watch that one. It's really amazing. It's an awesome tool that's converting Quake 3 maps over to our source VBSP like V25 format directly, so no need to decompile any of the old maps and deal with like the lossy process that is. And then last but not least,
hi, I'm Zofa. I'm the production designer, so I'm working with the artists coordinating the campaign. And it looks like we got the Three Musketeers on camera today, or I think that's giving us a little too much credit. It's more like the Three Stooges.
Yeah, something we're in between those. We average out.
The Holy Trinity.
Yes, there we go. The Holy Trinity of webcams this time. But yeah, so I guess we'll go ahead and jump into the first question. The standard question that we get asked every single month: what has everybody been up to? It's been a lot of fun kind of dealing with zoning, as O10.0 is kind of our main milestone release focus with this release change that we've done, where we do regular releases every Monday or Friday as we cut them, and then milestone releases are like the next big thing for Momentum. So the next big milestone release is O10.0, which includes a giant zoning refactor. But right now we actually need to break down what the zones need and all the game modes, and because now that we have all the game modes in mind that we want to have, really we need to redesign a lot of the zoning system that's already there to better accommodate all of the different zones. Like Defrag has different requirements than bhop, than conk and stuff like that. So we're going through just kind of overhauling all of the systems that there are with zoning, with the tooling around zoning, getting Lumper up to speed and ready for that as well for our map porting, because O10.0's focus is going to be a lot of maps, porting, creating new maps, refining maps, right? Like fixing stuff in ports, things like that. It's going to be a giant, people always say, there's not a lot of bhop maps or whatever right now. We will be adding a ton of maps starting at O10.0 because of this. We just didn't want to add a ton of maps before this refactor happened, because there's just a lot of work to be done. And we don't want to undo some of that work with zoning and then, have to rezone all the maps anyway. So that's really been the main focus for the past month. We're making great progress on that. It's hard to coordinate a little bit sometimes, but we're getting good about getting a lot of the team's feedback on it, just so it's not a developer working on this. It's people that have knowledge in different different experiences, from like server admin to like having played the game mode a ton and knowing what, you know, each mode should have for zoning. And this extends over to, you know, like checkpoint timers, stuff like that. Things like, how is resetting your run going to happen? Should we standardize that? You know, so we're doing a lot of great discussion around a lot of that, and that involves pretty much everybody on the team that can give input on it, whether asynchronously or synchronously in a meeting that we do every Saturday, or, you know, when we're in voice. So that's really been the main focus. It's going well. It's not, you know, being held up or anything. We're really figuring out the core issues or core things that the modes need, and this is very important for O10O. And it's amazing to see this progress. So I'm really happy with that. I've been, you know, trying to help out with that. Been doing a lot of admin and code review as usual, but that's kind of my role. So, you know, just looking over everybody's code, giving input where needed for, you know, website or anything like that if needed. But that's mainly been me. Tom, speaking of website, if you want to talk about that.
Look, I just want to clarify on the zoning stuff a little bit. One other point I wanted to make is a lot of the decisions on how zoning stuff was going to work was like 3 or so years ago, when the scope of the game was actually kind of smaller, and stuff like Loafer's just getting all of his cats. Okay, by the end of the stream, he's going to have like 10 cats on the bed. So and some stuff, just like things like that, I don't know. I just want to emphasize there's a lot of different areas of the game we're all sort of discussing at once, in terms of like ranking stuff and like the bonuses get ranks, how sub modes works. Like we've had this thing hanging over to like how we're going to do VQ3 and CPMA for Defrag, like two very distinct modes that are both kind of of equal weight. You could argue CPMA is kind of more popular, but so how ranking stuff works for that, it's all been a bit ambiguous. So that's one of the things we're trying to really hash out. So the zoning stuff is really touching on like core sort of ideas and decisions, like in just the overall game. Like getting this done is going to be really, really important. But yeah, I've been working on website, and this is really good timing because our website rewrite is really very close to done. Endpoint wise, we're basically there. Everything is feeling really clean. We've got a bunch of devs working on it. I'm really happy with it so far. So the plan is to get the web rewrite done for O10. And yeah, I've been spending a ton of time just on the final bit of that. And basically, as soon as the rewrite's done, we're then going to be working in tandem with the more like game and engine devs to be changing the database structure and sort of overall things on the website to accommodate for the sort of new approach we're doing to zoning. Not that it's changing very dramatically, but some parts of the data structure change a little bit. Plus, we have a lot of stuff that's kind of quite close to being production ready, parts of map submission that we need to finish off polishing. The goal is for O10 is we actually care about the maps people submit, and we will have a map submission system, and and anyone will be able to submit maps. And so there's a map review process where there'll be mods plus player reviews. I was adding a map to map selector the other day for a city reason, and got a zone wrong, and so stage 7 of Surf Tropic is bugged. Unfortunately, it's still beatable, but you can skip it. With map submission, that won't happen. There'll be a week's period where everyone can check stuff and all that. Sorry,
and we'll have map editing, so we could edit the zone if it was broken anyway and stuff like that. But yeah. So a lot of stuff like that.
All this zoning prep is all really coming. The zoning stuff and all this general sort of thinking we're doing is all really coming to fruition in both the website and the game stuff. So it's really exciting for stuff.
Oh yeah. And then I believe Mac, you've been up to a lot of Defrag Learn Map stuff. We actually pushed the most recent version of that in the latest update. If you want to talk about that.
I can't remember what has actually been added since the last update. I think there's a bunch of new weapon stuff. So yeah, there'll be more advanced rocket techniques that might be quite hard for beginners to learn, but it's good to have there. And I don't think we've quite implemented it yet, but it's in the process of having like ghost tutorials, so you can just watch a ghost do the technique and then.
The PR was open, by the way, so it'll be in the next push.
Nice. Yep. Yeah. So you'll see some buttons on the wall that don't do anything at the moment, but in a week's time, hopefully, they should be working.
Yes. Then Panzer, if you want to update us on any BSP convert stuff, if you have any.
Yep. Yeah, I've been working on entity conversion stuff with Mac. Lots of improvements to how weapon spawners work, give triggers. There's even a new ammo feature where you have limited ammo on certain defrag maps. And that just started working recently.
Yep.
I fixed some issues with the skyboxes on some maps. They were just completely breaking and having that weird Paul mirrors effect. And that's working on like 90% of maps now. And I've also been focusing on shaders. So things like fire, glass, lighting effects. All those different effects are now looking a little better.
Nice.
And I'd say these changes are pretty exciting to make because like every time I make one of these fixes, it's like fixing 100 maps or 1,000 maps or whatever. So it just makes the work really satisfying.
Oh yeah. And these are it all gets to the same map pool in the end, and it'll just be amazing to have just at launch like potentially thousands of defrag maps like ready to go effectively. The beauty of this tool, Lumper, the zoning refactor, kind of all tying together with like O10 being just a map renaissance for Momentum, being adding a ton of maps, even if they're broken, we'll be adding the maps, fixing up things, testing all the different systems, and just getting a release, like kind of map release checklist that we can like use to evaluate people's maps in the future as well. It'll be really, really nice. So it's amazing work. And then Zofa, if you want to talk about any of the stuff that you've been up to as well.
As recently, I've been doing a lot of cinematography studies and taking a lot of notes, gathering a lot of reference, and I've been utilizing a lot of that reference and notes to start storyboarding. So I'm exploring a couple different avenues when it comes to short stories and concepting, and that's the main drive behind me exploring this, is to get a little bit more concept work done so I could get the ball rolling.
Hell yeah.
When it comes to campaign development, get the ball rolling.
Yes, and touching on that, there will be a fully fledged campaign for 2.0. It's on our roadmap that we have over in our Discord, as well as I think it might be a command now here. I forget if I added it, but it should be !roadmap if it isn't. But yeah, I am very, very pumped to work on this campaign with the team as well, because it's basically a source movement speedrunner's dream of just kind of having like this all-in-one like playlist and like a little bit of story if you want to dive into that. We'll have a speedrun mode for it too that you can unlock. So a lot of great stuff down the pipeline. But yeah. Okay.
The most interesting thing is it's going to be a campaign that's supporting all the different game modes.
Yes, exactly.
So it's going to be quite the task to tackle, but I think when it comes to storyboarding, it provides us the roadmap that we're going to need to take direction.
Oh yes. Yeah.
So on paper, it looks good. We just have to make it happen. So stay tuned.
Exactly. So with that, we'll go ahead and jump into our first asked question here.
So our first question of the day is by Lockta, asking, how can I get my new map into the current playtest, and how will I be able to submit it into the 1.0 version of Momentum?
All right, so we just talked about this a little bit, but yeah, so at 0.10 is when we're really bringing in a lot of maps, new ports, any map that fit a supported mode. We will want to add it in some capacity, because we want to test not only how our cloud storage and CDN systems are going to work with that, but also just get people into the loop here. So how map submissions will work is you will have a map that you want to upload. You request to upload it. You have like information about the map basically. And then that goes into a submission process that admins then review it. Then it goes into private testing. So you can invite people via the Momentum dashboard to come and test your map. and then you can once you're ready to get it, in the face of everybody, you actually throw it into public testing for a 1 week minimum public testing period. This will allow people to kind of grind out the map. We'll have some sort of incentive around getting maybe bonus XP or something to incentivize playing work in progress maps just to give feedback. And this will be a mandatory process there. So that way just anything that's like very glaringly wrong can be found there. And then it goes into kind of the private review after you're content with that feedback. You can be in public testing as long as you need, but it'll go, into a private review. That's where the team currently like looks at it, kind of rates it based on the, difficulty and just making sure that everything looks okay. And then based off of like a checklist or a rubric that we'll have to kind of grade it. And then if there's any changes needed, we can kick it back to the mapper and just kind of go back and forth there. And then once it's ready, it goes public. So right now, before 0.10.0, right, we kind of just manually do it. So we require, the bare minimum things like a thumbnail, the BSP zones, information about the map. And then we do, we hope that people are doing the bare minimum of just testing the map, making sure that it's playable, and then we just add it. In some cases, we mess up. There's some maps that aren't beatable currently. It's fine, whatever. The website's being rewritten and almost done there, so we'll be able to have some maps that you can actually play and complete in a bit here. And I will note, by the way, at 0.10.0, there will be it's a site-wide wipe. So all PBs, everything needs to kind of be wiped out because we're going to be, completely revamping zones. And I mean, we're going to be re-adding all the maps. So like all of the existing entries and stuff won't really match to the new maps. And some of the maps even already have some fixes that we're going to be like uploading as well, because we don't have map editing currently. So just warning you guys there. I mean, it's kind of the first thing you see when you play the game. It pops up. It's like, hey, everything you're doing is not final. We're going to also wipe at 1.0 too. So it's like, yeah, like everything you're doing in here is just to get the feel of the game and give us feedback. That's really what we want out of this. And test the systems, stress it out, break them, report bugs, or just, silently report crashes via Sentry, stuff like that. And then how will you be able to submit it in 1.0? I kind of outlined the steps there, but it will be open to prospective mappers. Not everybody will be able to just like start uploading on our site. I think that's a security nightmare to do that. So we're going to have a little bit of a gate of like a, hey, like, are you actually mapping sort of vibe of like just, checking that before being able to actually like upload the map onto the site. And it's all through the site. It'll be a very beautiful user interface in our front end that you'll be able to use for that. So cool. Really quickly answering, is Momentum planned to be free to play? Absolutely, 100% free to play. We cannot make money from the game itself. We can make money through merch or through external means, but the game and everything in it is always going to be 100% free. So no microtransactions or anything. No money at all in the game. It's all through playing the game. If we talk about unlocking or purchasing on a store or anything in game, which we might in a future question, that's what I mean, is like you play the game and you unlock it that way. What were you going to say, Tom?
I was just going to say, yeah, one of the reasons we're not adding to the current playtest now is, like Nick said, everything is getting wiped and maps are getting resubmitted and all the zones are being reset. So stuff we're adding now, only stuff we're doing is stuff that's like testing Momentum stuff specifically. Like we're not just adding maps for the sake of it, unless sometimes I get bored.
Yeah. Like the KZ map. Like the KZ map that we just added, and
Climb High Tower
not fucking submitting for some reason.
I'm working on it. it.
I don't know why, but we'll figure it out. Yeah.
But yeah, I think Lockta did do something specifically for Momentum.
Yes.
So
it's actually in map review.
Does need reviewing. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to look at it. But what we had to do we've uploaded some like buggy maps and stuff before, so we tried to do some review just with team members. That is pretty awkward. So all this stuff, like basically what we do now is just a really shitty version of what we will have for 0.10.
Yeah.
So that's a big reason we don't want to do stuff now, is like we'd rather work on getting 0.10 done so it doesn't suck to do.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
So hopefully this answers that. Was there any other input for Lockta's question here? All right. We'll move on to the next one. Thank you for asking.
So our next question is by Yanki asking, are there plans for a separate category with a leaderboard for maps like Pac-Man BAP?
This is good timing for the discussions we've been having on zoning.
Yeah.
Can I take this actually?
Yeah, you can.
So what we are trying to do at the moment is we're keen on having silly maps have leaderboards, just not potentially ranked points. We're relatively open to stuff like that. At the same time, we do want enough of a degree of structure, right, where leaderboards are still per mode, and we're not going to do like joke mode. As far as I know, like it would just be kind of goofy. So something like the Pac-Man map is fun, and I think it does have a timer in his zone, which is really funny, but like it's not. It just doesn't fit in with like the overall structure of the game, where the way leaderboards and stuff integrate with the game, it's genuinely there's a ton of work when it comes to game code, website front and back end, game UI. Like there's really a lot of work that goes into the whole leaderboard setup. So it's something where even if we wanted to, it'd be very hard to do these sort of joke versions of it because it's so tightly tied together, all these different moving parts. Though I would love to have Flapper somehow.
The current replay system doesn't really handle like the joke maps as much. They're great little nuggets that we add as like little fun maps to try. Usually during April Fools or just kind of like a joke. The distinction there that I'd like to make is that Tom brought up the idea of ranked and kind of unranked leaderboards. So the ranked side of things is really what a lot of people competitively will care about. This is just like maps that we know are a good quality enough to be a good competitive quality. So you can play a map and get whatever rank you get, and that will be kind of like you will get a point value associated to that, and that's mode wide. So and typically it's going to be just the default settings because that's going to be the most competitive. However, we can have things like half sideways and off styles also be ranked if we want to down the line, but also just be leaderboarded but not ranked. So you can still have a fun leaderboard for what was it like that one mode that's like 700 speed or like it's like crazy speed for bunny hop or something. It completely changes it. So we can have kind of like off leaderboards for those modes.
They still need to be for a mode,
but it does fit into it does still need to be under a overarching mode, because we'll have the overarching mode and then sub modes under it. So that's where you can get things like beggars or VQ3 or CPM, right? You can have thank you for the raid, welcome everybody.
Big boy raid.
Big boy raid, welcome. We're talking about leaderboards for Momentum, so you guys joined in on interesting conversation. We are on the joke questions yet. But anyway, so the overall distinction there being that you should really be grinding the ranked leaderboards, because that's what, like, in the sense of like status, on our site or on leaderboards and stuff like that, if we end up having like a global mode leaderboard, that's what will matter, because that's really what we're tracking. But we will have the leaderboards for those off modes. And then there was a question about like, what about maps that are made for like jump that support both sticky jump and rocket jump? We will actually, the way, and this is coming with O10O, the way that we're going to be viewing maps is they're actually more environments, and the mode and like what the run that you do on it is actually applied on top of it. And it's not like a map was made for a mode, right? If that makes sense. It's the other way around. It's like a map was made, now what modes work for it and are fun to grind. And and this can lead to we could have leaderboards for every off mode. So you could play A-hop on B-hop maps, or defrag on A-hop maps or something like that. And for the modes that are actually working well for those environments, right, those BSPs, we can enable ranked leaderboards for them, and then that way it's one map and you can play it on the mode that you want to for that ranked. And we're going to be working through designing proper UX for that, so that it's very clear that you can play a map on different modes and get ranked for it versus unranked, where unranked is just kind of like literally any mode, right, on any map. but like ranked will be a specific, like we will toggle on, I guess, the ranked leaderboards. And some maps will only be made for one mode, and that's okay because it uses maybe mechanics that only that mode has, right? So we'll have to kind of play by ear as to what, you know, mappers want out of people playing on their map, and then playing it also by ear down the line with the community, grinding these maps, maybe having fun playing in off mode and wanting rank points out of that. So definitely a lot of variability, but we will absolutely support multiple modes per map with ranked leaderboards. That is planned. And then, yeah, having just leaderboards in general for every map, for every mode, if that makes sense too. So you can have a replay, you can submit that. You won't really get much, right? Because if it's not ranked, like we'll give you some like cosmetic XP or something like that, but you know, you won't really get much other than just the completion, and it'll be on a friendly leaderboard that, you know, other than just bragging rights, you don't really need to grind. I guess technically the entire game would be bragging rights, but like, you know what I mean, where it's like it doesn't really have weight to it because the ranked leaderboards are really where the weight and the competition will be, hopefully, if we design it right. But yeah, so hopefully that shines some light on the different like categories on leaderboards and different like modes and stuff like that. Was there any other input for Yanki's question here?
No, just to add that this is nice because it is, again, talking about the sort of zoning stuff we talked about the last couple of weeks of having different game mode leaderboards per map, stuff like that, where we've really been clarifying that. This has been really just something we've been getting to grips with in the last couple of weeks. It's really nice.
Absolutely. Cool. All right. Thank you, Yanki. We'll move on. Sorry if I butcher your name and it's like Yankee or something. Anyway, moving on to the next question here.
It's not going to be as bad as me butchering this next alias. NotEagle? NotEagle?
Yes. No, it's NotEagle. Yeah, it's capitalization gets lost with this font. We should probably change the font for these questions.
Yeah,
it's pretty bad. It's our font that we use, but whatever. Anyway, sorry, NotEagle. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you for clarifying. NotEagle wants to know, will there be an optional health bar for mappers to enable?
So health, probably not. The way that we want to do, like, it's a speedrunning game, right? So the way that we want to do it is we want to have elements that don't rely on, because like if you think about health, right, what it applies to is more towards, like for surf and bunny hop, it's going to be for failing, right? You fell down, you took some damage, and it's more of like a fail meter, right? So if you keep failing and taking that damage, you'll probably die or restart. We can absolutely add that as a more like inline or like a more custom made option for the game, if that makes sense, to where it's not a health mechanic because there's not really a concept of damage, because normally there's not really a concept of damage on, you know, the majority of skill surf maps and things like that. But we can add, you know, UI elements around failing multiple times that we can have like a thing increment. The main thing around kind of these elements like this, like health or a fail meter, is just having the standardization and then tying it in with the mode, you know, the speedrunning aspect. And while, you know, health is a good indicator in military sim shooters of like how much life you have before, you know, and it's a very old school way of representing kind of like, okay, like you're about to die, and like dying in those old servers, right, would bring you back to the start because that's just kind of how they had to do it. In Quake, I think that's like that was just like the mode of choice there to get you back to the start. So we don't really want to go back to that because there's just a lot of nicety around not having to worry about so many different things on your screen as well. Having a health bar or having kind of a fail meter could be a little demotivating too for people, but there's still option there for us to be able to allow it, just kind of rebranding it more towards like, oh, like you're taking like, you know, failure over damage, if that makes sense, because canonically it just doesn't make sense. All right, like how you don't have a health bar on other, like the vast majority of other maps, right? So we'd really have to see how we want to like brand it, but it is possible, and we do want to allow mappers to have that kind of control over how people play their maps, because obviously, right, if you have the mechanic of health with rocket jumping, that limits how many rockets you could use in a specific time frame, or you have to specifically navigate a stage in order to refill your health in order to be able to continue or something like that. So we want to be able to kind of offer that while still not really leaning on the idea that you have health in general, because you don't in the vast majority of maps, right? Like we don't want it to be kind of this like normalized thing where you have a 100, you know, in the bottom left corner of your screen causing burn-in on your OLED or some shit. But like, you know, like we really just want to have like specialized features that are more streamlined and I guess better alerting of the player, like what's happening when they fail, than health, in my opinion. We do have ammo, so touching on health and ammo, we will have an ammo system. There is a lot of mapping opportunity around the idea of having limited rockets or limited ammo to be able to complete a course or stage or whatever. So having that in the game, absolutely, there's definitely a lot of things there that could warrant, even though the mode is traditionally unlimited ammo, it is possible to have elements that kind of fade in or just only show up when you have this limitation. So that would be effectively what this health bar is, but the concept of health doesn't really apply to momentum. That's trying to kind of being the clarification here of like, you do have ammo, you do shoot projectiles or throw a Kong, so you do have like tangible things you could count, right? But health is like, you're not normally shooting each other or anything like that. So it's like it doesn't make sense. But like a fail meter or just kind of like some bar there to kind of rebrand it towards like, yeah, you're messing up and like, yeah, you might be teleported back. Usually, you know, people going on speedruns, if they fail multiple times, they're probably going to restart anyway. So realistically, a health bar, you know, that's decreasing health or something like that is just going to be a nuisance for a lot of, you know, less skilled players, or just, you know, an indicator for people going for runs to reset. But anyway, the main thing there is that, yeah, we can add it. It'll probably be branded a specific way, not really health, but more of like a failure meter or something like that. Try not to fill up your failure meter. Anyway, but that's kind of the approach that we've been taking to these kind of aspects that are really a legacy aspect if you think about it, but still offer that kind of interesting or limiting mapping ideas that you can have, where you limit the player and it's kind of up to their own intuition on how to spend their failures or health, right, or anything like that. So realistically, yeah, it's we really go based off of mappers. So if there's enough mappers that want something like this and the use case makes sense and isn't, you know, already doable by the plethora of other triggers that we already have, then yeah, we can look into kind of making a specialized thing that's branded correctly. So cool. I talked a lot about that, but is there any other input for NotEagle's question here? All right.
Good.
Sounds good. Thank you, NotEagle, for that question. We'll move on.
I have a little bit more confidence in pronouncing this this username. DunsterJR is curious to know, could maps have some generic challenges that would show completion status in the map selector? For example, Bloons has a gold border for completing all badges on a certain map.
So the way, let me talk about Bloons. Bloons is awesome, by the way. I love Bloons. Bloons is great, but it's very specifically built around the idea of the, you know, the stage having like specific medals. So we've talked about having medal badges that offer the kind of stepping stone into the competitive world of Momentum. So there's, you know, the completionist side that they don't give a shit what their time is. They just want to complete the map and have it count. all the way to I got to get world record, right? And it's this spectrum of players, and we got to be able to push more people towards that world record side, because you need competition for that to actually, be a recurring theme of your game. So the pipeline that I talked about in the last episode of this podcast is that we want to kind of ease people into the idea of a competition happening. So if you're, playing maps and you haven't really done that many completions, we could start to offer kind of the idea of medals. So, Trackmania has natties, right? Or whatever. the mommy medals.
No!
Anyway, sorry. But yeah, we could have a medal system there where it's just basically part-time, right? So we set, when we review a map, we kind of get an idea of like what fast times are going to be, because ideally we have people that can beat the map in a roughly with save locks, right? We have save lock times. We can see what's a good time, and then base medals off of that, and that could start to form kind of the group system in a way, to where it's like people going for bronze, silver, and gold are getting into like group 5, group 4, right? Like that's starting to push them there, and then they start to see that on the user interface and like, what, wait, I got a silver but I'm group 4, what does that mean? And then you start looking into like, oh, like getting these medals correlates to getting better, like rank points and stuff like that. So it's tying in with that, and absolutely we could have medals show up in the map selector. That's no problem. So I think that would probably satisfy this specific desire. There aren't generic challenges. We're not really going to do that. We want to have a challenge system in Momentum, but it won't be mapper based. It'll be our decision around maps. So things like, I think this is actually a really early episode of the Momentum team Q&A, where I talked about the kind of 3 pillars of challenges and achievements, right? So there's like the Steam achievements, which are just generic fun things to do, like go in a lobby and shoot each other and stuff like that. And then there's actual like milestone completions of like get, enough gold medals on a map, or get, like the idea around like completing like a bunch of surf, or like it's kind of your progress in a game mode, and it's like across every map. And obviously, right, like it's milestones, because there's never really going to be a 100% as long as we're adding new maps. We can't really have that, like, well, I mean, we'll show like what your percent completion is, but we won't have anything around like, oh, you're 98% complete, here's a medal, because like the moment we add like 10 more maps, that bumps down. So unless we have thousands of maps, anyway, but you know what I mean. When we add enough maps, it'll bump down. And then what do you do when people fall below that? Do you take away, like, anyway? And then the last pillar is temporal. So it's like dailies, weeklies, maybe season-based challenges that we have, a recurring theme to come. Not addictive, but in the sense of like you're in Momentum every day doing something. Here's something fun to try, and it's like, here, try this map, try this bonus, try to beat this time on this map. And there's different XP rewards, and maybe we can start to do for like the season challenges, like do the season track or whatever, right, season playlist or whatever, and get X part time or something, and that can unlock a cosmetic if you do that, and that could start to have like limited time cosmetics and stuff like that. So we can really tie in with kind of not, making people addicted to Momentum, but at least offering something more than just here a map, get good time. Like, we gotta be able to cater to that entire spectrum of people just wanting to play. And right, like what, we'll never be able to really convert people that are like straight up just like, I want to beat it, I want to see a 100%, and then I'm good and I'm clocking out or something. Like there's people that get really, motivated for that and build up to that. But I'm pretty excited to see like how these systems will play together, and really just like how it'll motivate people to come back and keep playing Momentum, meeting new people in lobbies and stuff like that. Just having way more depth than just a 64 player limited slot server really could. So it's awesome to have this kind of flexibility and this opportunity to build on top of what's already there with the maps and the competition, but having catering more towards sides that aren't really catered to a lot is really exciting for me. But that's my take. Is there any other input for Dunster's question here?
All right, I spent the entirety of that question making the most extra way of dropping a key. Look at it. Look, it will make you laugh.
Oh God.
Look,
What?
look.
You added a website? Oh my
Yeah.
God. Pretty good.
I added a CSS property that stops you from being able to highlight it with the cursor. So you have to type it out.
Yeah, Google's gonna redeem that key with their scraper
Yeah.
box.
Yeah.
Typed it out, you realize you
Yeah,
could
if
inspect
you-
element. Yeah.
If you immediately open Inspector and do it, then you do that. Or just Control U.
That's for all the web devs in chat. Anyway, all right. All right, cool. So
Okay.
thank you, Dunster, for this question. We'll go ahead and move on to the next one.
So our next question is by Lockta asking, do you plan to add viewable and editable player profiles?
Yes. Yes. You can actually already kind of see it on the website if you log in. Nobody does, but you know, for those that are brave enough to just go to our website and log in with your Steam account, that's the same Steam account that you log in with the game. You know, the idea being that the front end of the website, right, the front end website dashboard kind of is an extension of the game. So it's your profile, it's all of your achievements in one nice, easy, accessible area. Absolutely, right? Editable in the sense of we want to be able to have badges that you can show off in your player profile. We want you to have cosmetics. We want you to have, you know, the ability to really show off your love for the game and the game modes as much as you possibly can. So absolutely. It won't be too obnoxious, right? We're not going to go full on like in your face cosmetics, because obviously it's still a competitive game, but we still want to cater to that social side. So yeah, in your profile where people are oogling your replays and things like that, your replay outfit, right? Things like that. Absolutely, you'll be able to customize to your heart's content, within reason, I guess. Heart's content asterisk of like, you know, we can't go too crazy with this, because again, it's speedrunning focus. We don't want, if you're racing against somebody's ghost, we don't want like particles like taking up your entire screen. You can't see shit. So there's stuff like that we have to be, you know, a little bit pulling back on, but like there's still a lot of expression that we want you to be able to have in the game. So it'll be really exciting. It's still to be determined like how it'll look and how everything will play together. Like, you know, if you hover over somebody and the leaderboard does that like load a little pop-up that like shows their like full name card and things like that, the different cosmetics that you'll be able to unlock from like the challenges and stuff like that. So it's still being kind of designed kind of more towards like 013. If we do have cosmetics before 1.0, it'll be towards 013. But yeah, but it's absolutely planned, yes, and sort of in place, but like not really fleshed out.
Yeah, player profile is something we're going to be sort of constantly improving. It's something that is the kind of just the overall goal of the website, right? Is to be able to show really like individualized, like you want to just show as much individual stuff about each player as you possibly can. That's one of the primary things the website's for, right? So, and in-game stuff. So like we've got, you know, the player card background thingies we'll be doing, unlockables there. In-game profile was going to be pretty impressive, I think. I'm looking forward to doing. Did you not see the cat on Zofa's bed for like an hour?
That wasn't just a fluffy
up with
pillow?
my roommate coming
Was
in
that a
to
cat
give me some popcorn.
thing? What was that?
Is that a bed zone? Yeah.
But yeah, there's, I don't know, the in-game stuff is going to improve quite a bit. I zoned out for a second. Did you mention the little player cards in lobbies?
Yes.
It shows up like that. You're good. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Yep. And lobbies and leaderboards, just having kind of like an inviting like nameplate, and then you can like, you know, click on them and see kind of like a loadout, or like maybe go to their site, the page in our dashboard to view their profile and check it out more.
Yeah,
we'll figure out the flow.
Me and Traz both love working on this stuff and have quite a lot of plans.
Yeah.
So it'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm really excited. And like we'll have it to where you can like customize per game mode. Like you'll have your overall profile that'll be global, but like cosmetics like per game mode and stuff like that. So it'll be fun.
Oh.
It'll be a fun time. You can have different outfits, I guess. But yeah. Cool. Any other input for Lockta's question? All right. Thank you for that. We'll move on to the next.
I believe it is pronounced Daiter. Daiter wants to know what options will mappers have to show and promote their maps, and how will players pick up new maps?
Excellent question. Excellent question. Mappers are the backbone of Momentum Mod. I cannot scream that loud enough. I don't want to scream. I'm in an apartment. But no, I'm good. Anyway, but maps are very, very important. So having new maps, having a constant influx of maps. I mean, we do have thousands of maps from servers, right? Prior like years and decades of existing maps. In the sense of Quake, right, with BSP convert, we have so many, like thousands and thousands of existing maps from the, you know, like what, 30 years now, almost. So yeah, there are tons of maps that we have, but we really want to motivate, you know, highlighting new mappers, you know, showing like I think one of the biggest things we're planning for O10 even is we're going to have a main menu, and you'll see this when we play the game in a bit. We'll have a panel on the main menu that just shows the most recent maps uploaded. And you know, we can probably add some filters to that if you want to filter out some game modes you don't care about or anything like that. We'll have that, but we want to show you what's being added. Right, we care about that. Like that is so important that it is on our main menu. And then going into your map selector, you can customize to see latest maps. You can see, you know, like we'll distinguish that from that, because the map selector can show you recent maps too. And we try to default to that, but a lot of people have, you know, their settings that they want the map selector to keep. So we're gonna differentiate that. Have new maps. Very important on our main menu. Here's, you know, the latest and greatest. And then not only that, but we have, you know, the currently the news section there. We want to have spotlights. We want to be able to spotlight mappers that have been making great stuff and doing cool things that we really want people to try out their maps. So, you know, with the weekly, touching back on the, you know, the temporal challenge stuff, we really want to highlight maps that maybe aren't being played enough, and we can actually use dailies or weeklies to create challenges around maps that maybe don't have as much love as others, and really motivate people to go and play it, right, with that. And so, you know, there's a lot of power that we have here, and we want to use it, you know, like really well here with mappers, and just, you know, catering to showing off the latest and greatest. Very minimum, right? So very important, but on the main menu, and then highlighting specific mappers, maybe mapper teams, mapper duos, highlighting any collaboration maps. Like for example, if RJ Christmas 2 comes out, you know, stuff like that. Like that would be really cool to have, you know, and then we could maybe do like an event around a map like that, or, you know, maps like that. The really nice thing that I'm looking forward to is the mapping competitions that we can host can be game mode, like across different game modes. So like we can have like multiple winners, you know, like have a pool, and like have like each game mode get a winner and like runner-ups and stuff like that. And so that way we're getting different modes getting the same theme map, and then make an event around all that map, highlight all the mappers that, you know, created these awesome opportunities, and then reward players for actually playing and hanging out and, you know, having a good time on it. So a lot of great opportunity here that, again, servers, even with, you know, like there's the whole topic, I saw it brought up in chat a couple times with CS2. CS2 looks amazing, you know, Source 2 is really beautiful because it's modern, but you know, when it comes down to it, you're still playing surf on a server. You're still playing on a map that a server is dictating, you know, okay, I guess they have the tick list system or something, but we have interpolated mouse movement too. It's, you know, like there's trade-offs there, but like our platform is very, very much geared towards these movement modes in general. So it's like, if you really love, like if you're only playing CS, CS2 or CSGO for these movement modes, I think Momentum will be that answer to you for like what you want to play, versus, you know, somebody that maybe does surf and Bayham and then goes and plays competitive, or like mainly does like shooting. What I'm hoping for personally out of CS2 is that they actually make surf deathmatch or like combat surf into an official game mode. That would be amazing.
No, they won't do that.
I know, yeah, they'd probably not do it fully, but like it'd be amazing to kind of have that be promoted, because we don't do combat, and hey, you know, surf and combat go really well in CS, and that's like, it makes sense to have that be on servers and stuff. So like, yeah, that's what I'm hoping for out of that. I hope that the combat surf community gets the love there, because that definitely, like, again, and I know there are communities that will also be, well, I guess you kind of have to move over if they're killing CSGO in the summer, but you know, like that, obviously there will be communities that go over there, but we hope that, you know, with our community tooling and just the focus around the community that we have with mappers and just tournaments and different events like that, that a lot of people will at least, you know, try us out, see if they like it over, you know, the bog standard old way that even with CS2, like 20 years later, you're still playing on a server. And right, like, so just weighing that in mind. Again, I'm not shitting on CSGO or CS2. I'm making this game because I came from playing surf, playing bunny hop, well, doing all this shit. So
we have another question on CS2 coming up, so I think we can really go over, like,
shit. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, so we have that question. I think for that we'll really go over all the reasons that stuff is different, because I think that's this is a really big question to tackle. The thing I completely agree that combat surf is really underrated, and it would be great if Sandbox did that well. Though I don't think combat surf was ever really a thing in Gmod, but maybe there ends up being a Sandbox thing for it. Combat surf is really good. It's just I mean, we'll talk about the CS2 stuff. It's not something where the technology there is really worrying us, but sorry, we strayed away a bit from the question. I wanted to get back to well, sorry, you finish your bit. Then I want
sorry, just Spectre Abyssal. Please reach out in the Discord if you have 24 years of experience and want to try out Conk, see how it feels. Absolutely, that's insane. First of all, welcome to the future, old man. No, but that's amazing.
If you got 24 years of experience, you might get to skip the line.
Yeah, because that's amazing. And if you do have mapping expertise or anything like that, then anyway. But yeah, no. So if CS2 is actually a question here, I didn't skim through the questions before this, so I'm actually kind of blind here. But it's exciting. It's fun. I'm having a good time. Are you guys having a good time? But yeah, so we'll continue on then. Unless, was there any other?
So the map promotion thing. This is another thing like profiles, where it's something where we want to constantly be improving. Where like it's quite hard to say like exactly what all of our plans are, because especially with mapping, like we really want to encourage new people to make maps, which means like doing, what is Traz talking about? So
everyone but Traz is
the reality of like a lot of surf servers, and I expect it will be the case to some extent in Momentum, is everyone loves like surf classics and stuff. Momentum can definitely be a lot better for getting other maps still do get played, because people can play whatever map. You don't have to like vote on the map every time.
Right. You aren't victim to like the popular vote overriding your like niche interest.
Yeah.
You can play whatever.
But I think even then there's a lot we can do to make it so less well-known maps and stuff still get played a lot, still end up. I mean, everything is going to be available once it's in, so people can be finding maps. I don't know if we are going to do a map rating system, if there is going to be a sort of popularity thing. We will have stats for like map time played. We will be doing map session stuff soon. Where
we have favorites, so we could just show top favorited
most
maps.
Favorited, yeah. I'm not sure what way we'll. But yeah, stuff like mapping competition, stuff like that. That's the thing that I think we care about most, is getting lesser known maps or
lesser known modes or lesser played modes. Yeah.
We'll also have a tag system as well, right? So if you're done playing a certain map and you're like, oh, I really like this style of map, what's it called? And then, you look in the tags and it says like unit surf or something. It's like, oh, it turns out I really like unit surf. I'm going to look at other maps that have unit surf.
Yes.
And and then also I assume we'll have a really easy way of just looking at the map maker's other maps as well, right? It's like, this map was by this guy, maybe his other maps are good, and then you'll just be one click away from seeing that map maker's other maps. So yeah, there'll be plenty of ways to just find maps that you think might interest you.
Yeah, and I just ways to stop stuff falling through the cracks is going to be really interesting. But I mean, even if like, I think what will probably happen is some unranked maps that might happen to a little bit. If they're ranked, I assume people are going to play the maps quite a bit. If it's an unranked map, that probably means it's of lower quality and does mean that it might just sort of get ignored by a lot of people. But I don't know, like, people play surf and stuff a lot. Like, people playing Momentum, assuming Momentum's good, which hopefully it is, you'll get people with thousands of hours in it, and they'll play every map under the sun at some point probably. And
Yep.
so
Yeah, because like there's the completion heads, but then there's like I got to get group 1 on every time, like not world record on every, but like group X on every map, and then it just goes up the line of like I'm just gonna grind and be the best at every map. So I can't wait. All right, any other input for Daiter's question? All right, thank you for asking. We'll move on to the next.
It's getting a little difficult for me to reach the microphone, but I
it's all good.
I'm in the vicinity of it. Oh wait, my hand's free now. Okay.
Yeah,
the cat read it.
Lockta wants to know: will mappers eventually get access to preset brushes and hammer, for example, curved ramp 01? And this would be cool and probably encourage new mappers. Okay.
Yes.
I thought that second bit was a question. That's why it caught me off guard.
Oh no, you're all good. Yeah, yes. Having preset materials and stuff like that not only help create really cool maps easier, but would also just be nice for somebody getting into mapping to be able to kind of place some ramps down. Now keep in mind that, right, like we're hoping that people get a little more creative past our kind of approach, or at least my approach to all of Momentum has really just been taking a lot of the tediousness out of the modes, right? So we've gotten rid of randomness, we've gotten rid of wall bugs. We have a question about that again, stuff like that. Like we've gotten rid of just like the tediousness of a lot of the modes, but not necessarily the skill-based aspect of that, if that makes sense. So like a lot of just tediousness around mapping and stuff, we want to improve the mapping flow specifically for these modes, right? So like having preset brushes, preset models, preset, like a lot of these things that you can just come with the game. And then, I mean, this is even touching into maybe asset atlas, to where you can have artists and modelers create asset packs that can then be used like a la Unity, right, inside of your hammer maps, and just automatically be handled throughout the ecosystem that we have. So there's a lot that could be done around kind of bundling things with the game that we definitely want to do. Like, for example, all of the campaign assets that we're going to have for our campaigns that we're creating will be completely shipped with the game and free to use for your maps, obviously. Like, and then we want people to be able to create, because down the line we want to have custom campaigns, right? There's going to also be playlists. There's a lot of great features. I'm super pumped. But yeah, like custom campaigns down the line too, where like people can kind of create like a Half-Life 2 mod-esque kind of thing of like surf maps or whatever that they want to make. So I know there's some lore inside of like, was it SJ Oreo? Oreotopolis or something. Anyway, yeah, there's some lore heavy maps that can really take advantage of the for example, just the campaign things that we're gonna have. So I'm pretty excited for that, but I really want Momentum to take a lot of that tediousness out of the existing workflows, specifically around mapping. We want to make Hammer fun to use and not crash, right? And Hammer Plus Plus is a great project in concept there for that. So it's like there's a lot that we can take from that and learn from, and so yeah, I'd say that there's just stay tuned for a lot of this, because again, it takes time to kind of create these assets, and every map kind of needs a different thing. But just having like instances or anything that you could drag into your map and then customize and like make longer, like bend different ways, stuff like that would also just be an immense help for even just the most established mappers too. So yeah, it's definitely something we want to work with the mapping community to make much easier. So any other input for Lockta's question?
No. Why am I
all right, thank you. We'll move on to the next.
Our next question by Jacobbolt, who who's wondering, will there ever be a hide and seek or Funjump game mode?
So hide and seek, at least the mode that is like kind of like very competitive. Okay, so this is going to be the standard spiel we give. We even have like a Discord command about this.
Yeah.
So Momentum is not designed for multiplayer, mainly because of just the modes that we're adding do not require multiplayer to play. They are single player speedrunning focused modes. So having game servers spin up, whenever you play whatever map would be really dumb. So we don't actually require you to ever be in a multiplayer server at all. This is a common misconception. It's very easy to make when people see CS and then they see Momentum and it's like, oh, it's still Source. Like, okay, this is literally just like KSF the game or whatever. But we're not, right? We're being built up from the ground up to be a single player first experience, but we still have the optional multiplayer layer on top, and you'll be seeing that too when we get into the gameplay after the questions here. So the way that works is that we don't necessarily synchronize you, because that introduces ping, and that really just gets in the way of having fun and enjoying speedrunning together. So we just network things as we get it. We don't just wait for you to synchronize or anything like that. We will have a racing mode, but that'll actually be synchronized via our website. So there's ways around, not having to do that, and still having a fair competition. So there's definitely like cheeky things that we could do. For example, if you play on a map that uses the prefix tricks with a Z, we could make grenades have collision, and that way you can sort of do tricks, but we won't officially support it in any means, because if you think about it, right, the main focus of our game is like leaderboards, right? Speedrunning. So how do you have a leaderboard for hide and seek? And like, how do you have leaderboards for like tricks? And how does that work with like, what's your PB, right? Is it your fastest time with whoever, or is it like, are you like one unit? Anyway. So there's like, and then like, how do you find somebody to play it? Because the moment that you don't have anyone to play it with, it's just dead content. So not very fun. Yep. Whereas every game mode and every map and everything that we have in the game, you could just go and play. Like, you don't need anyone to do it. But on top of that, right, with how we set up our system, you can join. We'll have roaming lobbies to where if you aren't in a lobby, you just join a public one and when on that map, right? And you can talk to people playing on that map. You can join clans, you can join dedicated lobbies that way. You can join private lobbies with your friends and just go through a bunch of different maps together. So there's still that multiplayer aspect. You don't have to be alone, but we aren't networking in a way that allows multiplayer focused modes to work. So no combat serve, no hide and seek, no tricks, even though we can do some fun things of like making grenade collisions count if you're on a tricks map or something. We can do some levels of like support, but not any really official capacity on the map selector officially built into the game UX. I don't know what Funjump is. I apologize. I really focus on the hide and seek, HNS. I'm assuming that's what that is. I mean, if you want like fun minigame stuff of like, because I mean, we'll have a system to like challenge people to races, right? So you can go on like and do like your own tournaments or whatever if you want to. And there'll also be tournaments. There's a lot. I swear, like we have a lot of great stuff planned. It's gonna be really exciting once like these rewrites and specs are done, because we get to just go ham on new features. Because now that we have the underlying stuff in place. So there's a lot of stuff like that, and we could technically have like a hide and seek mode where like prop hunt in a way, where like there's somebody that like their screen goes black for like 2 minutes or something, and you can go and like hide in a surf map, and they have to like surf through the map to get you, like that level of hide and seek. And it's not the level of like, it's just like a weird like deathmatch map that people are just bunny hopping around to like get away, like tag or whatever. Like that could be, I could see that being kind of like a fun like lobby game thing to do. Yeah. But again, it would just be that this similar energy. What the fuck is that?
You like my
Oh
key?
my,
That's such a
the
good key.
regex. All right. Jesus. All right, anyway, yeah, so there's levels of some fun modes that we could support in some capacity there, but again, it wouldn't go towards our site. You won't really get anything for doing it except for just having fun with your friends. So we could do sort of that, but anything that requires synchronizing, right? Like, oh, hey, I knifed you and you should have died. Like we can't really do that. But like fun little modes where it's like, as you get close, proximity based to like somebody, it'll detect them or stuff, hide and seek like that or something. I know that sounds really boring, but like we can experiment around with that as as a fun. Again, there's the April Fools that we have in mind are just like things like that. Like we have a lot of like just quirky shit like that in mind. I'm pretty excited about like trying to implement some of those, but we'll see. But yeah, so hopefully that answers that. It's kind of the standard spiel that we give every time we get kind of a, hey, is there going to be combat or whatever. We do have that Discord bot command, but it is good to explain it and kind of show you what we're thinking as opposed to just getting a blob from a bot and like passive aggressively, So any other input for Jacobbolt's question?
Sorry, I got completely distracted for the whole question again.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm enjoying these keys. I think you've summed it up. Yeah. And it's just scope matters so much of this game, and
that too.
A lot to work on.
Yeah. So it's fun one-offs, but yeah.
The fun stuff to do in lobbies and play around with your friends, like they are there. It's just game mode, like, is not something we'd officially integrate. It doesn't fit the game whatsoever, and like there's no be a whole separate load of stuff. Yeah, it makes no sense.
There was another one that was a pig too, like the like basketball kind of game of like you kind of surf a map and see how far you get or something, and like the person that gets the farthest or whatever wins. So stuff like that we can do. Yeah, absolutely. Like things around the speedrunning aspect, tournaments, right, racing, things like that we could do. It's just like the multiplayer focused combat, like not really.
Yeah.
Rather than
love
solving
to see combat.
Yeah.
We'd love to see more combat stuff. Combat stuff is genuinely really underrated. Like, it's silly and goofy, but I mean, personally for me, playing like Surf Great River Extreme, like over a decade ago, I think,
brings me back. Yep.
It's so fun, like just shotgunning people like on the middle ramp, like all that.
Getting to the top of jail. Getting credits to spend on the gunman.
Surf, unless there's a jail and it's surf ski too, or it's combat surf with
surf
RPG
rebel.
Oh my goodness, surf rebel resistance.
Yeah. Classic.
Genuinely,
the nostalgia
really fun.
Flooding back in.
Yeah, and we'd love to see more of that. For us, like it's really good because we have our really specific focus on what we're doing, but so we can. We want this stuff to exist more. It's just completely out the realm of momentum. It's just absolutely not relevant to us.
Cool. All right. Thank you, Jacob, for this question. We'll move on to Jacob.
Yeah, we have a follow-up question by Jacobbolt, who is curious to know, will Jacob be able to set different sensitivities for different game modes?
Yeah, can I say this?
Yeah, you can.
Because this is my personal thing that I've been advocating for ages, and we've been saying we're going to do it for ages. But like, game mode specific setting to something we are absolutely doing with 1.0. It's quite annoying to do with the way configs work in Source. God, you have long hair. But we've spent we know we need it because like obviously people can make their own config files. That's a thing to say. If you make like ahop.cfg, surf.cfg in momentum/config or momentum/cfg, and then and you put whatever stuff in there, that gets executed on loading any map in that game mode. That works, but we don't want users to have to do that. So what really matters to us is having UI in the settings menu that allows you to override your normal setting for a specific mode. That's the approach we're taking. So you'll have your general settings, but you'll be able to switch to sort of override mode for some specific game mode, and setting a setting in there will replace it just for that mode. So, but not just sensitivity, like all sorts of stuff we're going to allow you to do. We've had this spec'd out for quite a while, and we kind of know how to do it, though recently some of the work Brave's been doing to do is the sort of one of the main storage formats we use, where something we have from CSGO, which was actually probably come from Source 2, called KV3, Key Value 3, is a really nice file format that makes doing this stuff a lot nicer.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're kind of, I mean, KV1 would be fine, but this is nicer. And yeah, we kind of know how to do it. It's just something we will get done. It's one of these things that is not a milestone thing in itself, and we can kind of leave to get done at some point, but it will be done before 1.0. It's something we really care about this, because it's really annoying to, like, what I do when I'm playing Momentum, I don't allow myself to make these config files because I want to annoy myself into doing the work eventually. So every time I'm trying to like change my binds for a specific mode, rather than make some config file that does that, I'm like, no, I'm not allowed to do it. if
Internalize the pain.
Yeah. Just because it makes me
it's a good motivator.
Even more want to do it. But yeah, it should just be like, I use like mouse 1 is different. Like I have turn binds in Surf, in AHOP I have plus walk on mouse 1 because I'm weird, and then for damage boost modes I have like for plus attack. I'm constantly like rebinding stuff. I do it in console usually because I'm like that, even though I've made the bloody keybind UI. And it's really annoying having to do that. What we want is just load any map. It's going to automatically change your keybinds. No work, extra faff. It's actually something that with the UI we're sort of stealing from Overwatch of all games.
Yes.
Not a good game, but some nice UI stuff they do. So, but yeah,
you nailed it. Yep. So we do want to have game mode specific configs. It's important, right? You don't need the same sense for Surf that you do for Bunny Hop, right? That straight up, like those two modes side by side, you just can't. So yeah, like, well, it will only be those two modes. You'll be able to do every mode, but that's what I mean. It's like, all right.
But it's a tricky UI challenge, but one that we're tackling. And this is a UI UX thing that is kind of fun to tackle as well. We just need to sit down and do it.
It's not too bad because you have a base, like applies to everything, and then you have the game mode override. So, like, it's just a matter of like showing those two states of like what you're editing, and then what gets exposed for each of the modes too, because there's like mode specific like binds and stuff, right? So, yeah. Anyway, thank you for this question, Jacob. We'll move on to the next here.
Our next question is by Resistance asking, is there any new stance on alias scripting in Momentum being allowed, integrated, or disallowed? As an example for Ctaps or Jumpbugs or even crouch jump.
There are specific configs for things like special modes for like Surf and stuff like that. There's for those like half sideways and stuff. There are things like that use aliasing, and that's fine. We really don't want people to have to script to do things in the game. We want to pretty much eliminate that, because that starts to get into the line of like, well, why are you banning cheaters that are scripting? But you allow all this complex fucking like hieroglyphic alias scripting. In general, I've kind of always been against like levels of like automation or scripting to do things. I'd rather have Ctaps be more intuitive or easier than having people rely on alias. It's the same kind of stance that was applied towards plus strafe. However, through feedback there, we've backtracked on that. We're going to allow plus strafe. So there's definitely trade-offs, and we want to see why people are alias scripting. But in general, we don't really want people to have to alias script. If there are things that could be improved, we want to, because we have the ability to. I think the alias script mindset kind of comes from you're stuck in TF2 or whatever with the shit that Valve gave you, right? You have no control over like how the game behaves or anything like that, other than this alias script that you can create. So we want to minimize that and just allow people to have it by default, have an even playing field, because that's the other thing too, right? Insane fucking crazy Ctap alias script, but you have to know about it. So it's like there's a level of like, information there that's just like already giving an unfair advantage, as long as that information stays private or whatever. So it starts to get pretty nasty there as well, in the sense of competition, because what should be allowed, right? Like if it is allowed and like nobody shares their aliases, right, we could technically force people to like upload their configs or something like that to submit runs or whatever. But like, yeah, so for the most part, right, we want to try to wean people off of needing aliases to do things. I also know that technically aliasing is good for just doing a bunch of different commands. So like if you have like a reset bind that just does a bunch of shit for you, right? Aliases could be used there and things like that. So we want to be able to effectively just remove the need to alias, and maybe leave aliasing in, and then just kind of like, if you're doing sketchy shit, we're probably going to detect it. Hopefully going to detect it in our run validation. So hopefully that would kind of cover that level of like, you're doing some freaky voodoo shit in your alias script versus like, oh, I just have a reset bind that does like 50 different things and I need this alias. So it also allows technically like three-way binding, because you can bind to an alias that then in the alias binds to another alias, like, so every time you hit a button it cycles through things. So like things like that, it's kind of like bind toggle but on steroids. So yeah, it's really just like, we would have to evaluate what alias scripting is being used for and see if we can improve it natively to not even require the alias. We really want people to be on an even playing field, and that includes information. So if it's allowed, then we would probably either popularize or put in on our docs or whatever alias scripts that, but it doesn't that feel so gross though? Like you boot up Momentum and like you go to play like Rocket Jump and it's like, oh, well, technically, in order to do this one thing, you're going to need this archaic script, put it in your config somewhere. Like, doesn't that feel gross? Like, I just like, I don't know. It just doesn't sit right with me. Versus like, oh, okay, we've modified Ctaps to be a little more lenient on the timing or whatever, right? I know that would change like a ton of things, but like we would just do it with feedback from the community. We wouldn't just do it and like cancel aliasing altogether or something like that. So we really want to just explore what it's used for before really making a decision, a hard stance, I guess, against or whatever. But in general, right, anything that's just giving that unfair advantage that, hides information behind just being in the know, or just arcane knowledge of the engine or anything like that, we want to be against and kind of start to promote either sharing information or just making things easier. That's my stance, at least. Does anybody have any input or another stance on this? Tom is gone. All right, that's all right. It's all good. Well, if there isn't any other input, thank you, Resistance, for this question. We'll go ahead and move on to the next.
Next question is by Khan, who is asking, is Unreal like Defrag but for source with a USP or a Glock? Is Unreal supported or being added? Will I be able to mod it into the game myself if it's not officially supported?
Good news. Defrag but for source is in the game. It's already here. So we do have Defrag. I don't know what Unreal is. I know it's in the engine. Haha, but like I don't know what the mode is. We do already have the idea of submodes, so if it fits as a submode of Defrag, as just another way to play Defrag but like more source-esque. The main thing with submodes, right, and mode mixing or whatever, is that we don't want to support literally fucking everything like that. We want to have like a centralized leaderboard, right? We don't want everybody off in their own corner playing Unreal Defrag like 2004 B-Hop edition. Like we don't, we don't want we don't want that. We don't want it to spiral out of control. We want it to, at least have a good core competition based, system, and then having maybe the potential to mod things in maybe post 2.0 with mode mixing and things like that, just to have fresh kind of takes on modes. But it would be unranked, it'd be just kind of its own thing. But realistically, we want to focus all of the effort on like players and stuff into playing the official like supported modes that we have. Obviously, there's also scope creep. we don't want to support everything because it would take fucking forever for the game to come out, which it already is, and we're only at 10 modes right now. So realistically, right, hopefully the defrag that we have in the game is good enough. I don't know what Unreal is. I'd have to see what it is. If it's literally like Unreal tournament style. I'm not sure, but yeah, for the most part, when it comes to custom modes that are kind of niche or out of the way, it's probably going to be a no. Just in the sense of like, there's not enough demand for it for us to be like, oh, we got to stop and like actually implement this right now. You do have active devs on one side though. This isn't something that, though I will say, if you do want to mod it into the game, we do have 087 on our GitHub that you can actually go and fork and add whatever you'd like to it. And if it's good enough, we'll add you to the team and you can contribute directly to the game. And that's exactly how, Panzer, that's how Lumia and like, was it Rio? It was, was it Peen as well? And yeah, I mean, there's people from other game modes that have found their way onto the team and are now contributing into the base game. So it's not impossible. So if you'd like to show off what Unreal could be like in Momentum and want to do it in C++, feel free to fork that repository. It's on our GitHub. Just search Momentum mod GitHub and you'll find it. But yeah, yeah, if it's not officially supported, yeah, you're kind of SOL until we either add a scripting layer or whatever for like customizing game settings, or just, I don't know, somebody on the team throws you a bone and helps you implement it. But yeah,
I'm not having much luck Googling. It turns out Googling Counter-Strike Unreal just gives you a bunch of Unreal Engine mods of
Unreal
Counter-Strike.
Engine mods, yeah. So if you do have any reference for us, please feel free to put it in Discord. Ping us, if you have any reference for what Unreal is, like Defrag but for source. Check out Defrag. Please play Defrag. That'll be the next please play we add to make Al happy. Anyway, yeah. So hopefully that answers that. Yeah, we can't add like everything. We definitely are intrigued to see what modes are like, but if it's a sub mode of an existing mode, that's probably most likely where it's going to be added, if at all.
Sorry, I just got back to the end of this question. Yeah, the person asking this seemed to think that Momentum was a sandbox game.
Oh, true. Yeah.
So we're not making a game for you to make any mode in and do whatever, nor are we going to provide server plugins that can do that, which is kind of what this question was getting at, but I couldn't fit it in. So like we're trying to refine existing modes into like a really, really good platform to play them on, not making a complete sandbox like game. I get that some people might want that, but that's not what we think is best. Specifically because there's a lot of established modes like Surf Hop, the modes we actually have, that we want to give a platform for. We're not trying to find just new modes. In 2.0, I don't know if you mentioned this, we will be looking to game mode mixing and fun stuff there.
Yes.
But for now, that's not... Yeah. But for now, that's just not what we want to spend our time on, because it would be just a bad use of our time. And whilst we could try and do some SDK or something, that would also take us a ton of time and be a bad use of our time. So, yeah.
We'll see.
I will say that I think modders are kind of sleeping on 087. I'm kind of surprised that there haven't been more forks of it. I mean, it's like the perfect jumping off point for movement mods. Like it's just it's there. Anybody can use it. It's on the source SDK.
And we will.
I'd really love to see some. I'd really love to see some like cool, unique 087 forks. I think people could do a lot of stuff with that.
Yeah, really showcase what Unreal could be. You know, like, just because that, again, it leads to, if it's really cool and like people are really garnering interest, we'd love to have it in the game. It's just we can't do everything, and we don't know if everything's good until we see it and like get a feel for it. And if it fits the game in some way.
Yep.
Sub mode or main mode or whatever. So cool. All right. Thank you, Khan, for that question. We'll move on to the next one.
Our next question happens to be by Khan, who is also wondering, will Momentum BSPs only be able to be opened in Momentum, or can I bring them back to other source games?
This was actually answered, I think, in the Discord, but we'll echo it here. So our new BSP format that we have documented on our blog and, you know, in releases and stuff like that, we'll also be showing a map that takes advantage of that in a bit here. But the new BSP format that we have is very specifically Momentum only. There's not much we can do about that because it's bigger. Like the other games would read and then not read everything, and then probably get corrupted because the lumps just are too big for it to fit. So they don't work. And then, I mean, that's the BSP loader, not even getting past the BSP version being too new. So yeah, it is, unfortunately, if you use the Momentum VBSP and tooling suite, so VViz, VRAD, that is very specifically Momentum only. Or P2C, any Strata source game. So like any game that is built on our shared engine. So P2C is the other sister project that builds off of the same engine. They could load our BSPs. However, when you start to introduce a bunch of Momentum only entities into your map, it starts to complicate things. So unfortunately, no. That also extends. So let's assume that you're using, you know, Momentum entities as well, but using a different, you know, like CSGO or whatever tooling. Momentum entities also do not exist in the game that you'd be bringing them to. So portals, timer related stuff, you know, the slide trigger, stuff like that, slick, all of that does not exist in the games that you'd be bringing them into. We also have a lot of quality of life features on top of existing entities, and that would just disappear. So like teleport trigger, reorienting, stopping, you know, velocity, stuff like that. All of that disappears as well. So and while the entity would still exist, it would just it wouldn't behave like it does in Momentum. So for the most part, unfortunately, yeah, Momentum BSP is only for Momentum. Caveat P2C, but you know, still you have the entity problem. They don't compile Momentum entities. So sorry. However, you know, it's pretty good. The Momentum BSP format's pretty good. Allows you to do a lot of really cool things. So unfortunately, you won't be able to dual compile when you start to use that, but you get a pretty cool map if you start to use them. Just gonna put that out there. You know, portals.
With our next question, we could probably answer a little bit more in depth because it's asking about limitations.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, that's a good point. Is there any other? I guess there's not. This is pretty straightforward for this. Oh, Lumia, did you have anything?
Yeah, I was just going to say that's not to say that we're not backwards compatible. We can open, like, other games won't open our maps, but we can open other games' maps. So,
Yes.
you know, if you're a mapper and you're okay with using, you know, different entities or not having the capabilities of our format, you can like use TF2 or CSS tools and have a map that's compatible across versions. So we're backwards compatible, but other games won't be compatible with us.
That's a really good point. Yeah. Because we have engine access and just the ability to customize how the BSPs load, and we can fill up our format with the data from the other BSP formats, and that's how we can load CSS, CSGO, you know, Portal 2. I don't know if we support Left 4 Dead. I think we do. I think the SL worked on that. Left 4 Dead, Black Mesa Source, like there's a bunch of different infra, a bunch of different BSPs. We don't support Titanfall or Apex. They completely, they're fucking streets ahead for us. Anyway, yeah, so we'll see. But yeah, the backwards compatibility is really huge. So you're able to play mounted because we mount these games too. So you can just if you have a ton of maps from playing on servers, you should just be able to open up console and type map and then that map name, and you can play it from your mounted CSS, CSGO, TF2 install. You might have to game mode override if you're playing like a TF2 game mode, because our game mode application only looks at the prefix of the map, but you can game mode override to play any game mode on any map. So if you're playing jump, for example, you can specify rocket jump or sticky jump and play on the map. It's very powerful. You get to have fun, even if it's not official fun. But all right, thank you, Con, for this question. We'll quickly move to this this next one that ties in.
So the next relevant question happens to be by Resistance, asking, with Momentum now improving mapping limitations, is it possible that the more involved limitations of Hammer, for example, not allowing concave brushes, could be addressed? Is it possible that more involved limitations of Hammer could be addressed?
Right. So concave brushes, that's just like, that's engine level. Like that is like, it is BSP in general is built on concavity, I believe. So
yeah, a concave brush is not a brush, like by definition.
Yeah. So we'd have to overhaul the entire engine to be mesh based if you want to do that. That's levels of source 2, right? That's like a source 2 port effectively, to where we would convert existing concave brushes over to meshes, and then just everything from then on into meshes into, then you need to make sure your physics resolver deals with that all right, and if Havoc deals with that well versus Rubicon and stuff like that. It's interesting seeing like all the ramp bugs and stuff in Source 2 Surf, but then again, the ramps were made via brushes and not via mesh. So it'd be interesting. I don't know if it was converted properly or anything like that. So, but pretty interesting. The amount of like reversing and stuff going into that. But in terms of Momentum, I mean, it could, right? The magic of software engineering, and that's why I love coding, is you could technically do anything. So with enough time and enough clones, or enough very, very motivated Momentum devs, we could technically convert the engine over to just using mesh-based geometry, make it Source 2-esque. It would be cool, because it makes mapping basically like open Blender and make your map versus like, oh, you have to fucking carve everything out of brushes and like, deal with that shit. So there's like pros and cons to that. But I would say that the main thing is like just looking at workflows that mappers are already used to, and improving those. That can absolutely be done. And that's actually that's our mission, right? Our prerogative. So we want to make sure that Hammer's not crashing, that like you get a very easy like one-click like in place conversion over to a mesh, right? Like built-in proper stuff like that. So having all of that stuff kind of just built in to the tooling and just making it better for mappers that are used to it is really great, because it's tried and tested, right? Like it's really nice. Deep down, underneath all the crashing, underneath all the weird like fucking 90s UI bullshit, is actually a pretty good mapping program. And it's really simple and easy to learn, hard to master, but what isn't, And that's what we want to improve, as maybe making that curve just a little flatter, just a little bit, to get, people more towards the professional experience of like a multi-year, experienced mapper. So
is this somewhere where like the planned asset map and things like that would also come in, right?
Yes. So making it more towards the idea of like you're using assets that may have already been generated or created or used in other maps, and you can build upon that, and making just having more features built into Hammer that just like, I mean, there's map limitations, but then there's also just like creative limitations and like reducing the amount of those too. But it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what mappers end up using the bundled assets and things for. we have to actually get it in place. But just touching on that with the asset atlas, the idea behind that being that we want to take effectively every single custom asset minus maybe like light maps and like cube maps, and then basically throw them into a giant like repository. And like this way, if mappers are using map packs or things like that, like art model packs, texture packs, things like that, we can ship those with the game, so you just have it, and then the maps just like reference those directly, and then we save on storage and bandwidth of downloading, and you save time downloading it, and then it already comes with the game, so if you start mapping, you already have it. So like it's just kind of like wins literally all around. Except for, I guess, if there's copyright or permission based stuff. So we would want to make sure that we have permission to do so. But pretty much every map that's like shipped, you know, like a public like texture pack and stuff like that, we're aiming to kind of get all of those centralized into Momentum. And not only that, but we've improved things like texture compression. For example, we support BC7, which is a very modern way of compressing textures that utilize that more recent, you know, GPUs can utilize, and it saves a ton more space. And then, you know, like we're so you're saving more space on your local install, and then yeah, you're not having to download it. So it's like less time to download, less storage on our end, less bandwidth that we have to pay for, and so on. So there's and that's called the Asset Atlas. It's a big kind of pipe dream project in the sky, but that would directly integrate with Hammer, and then you'd be able to use that directly in your map. Like you'd just be able to like use the references of the materials directly in the map. But like it could extend over to custom content as well. So like technically artists that create just like packs or whatever could upload directly to the Asset Atlas, and mappers could just pull it in. Things like that. It'd be really cool. I mean, not to get too tech bro-y, but there's also the concept of AI. If generative AI gets to the point of like can create some psychedelic textures or some shit, we could integrate that too. Who knows? The possibilities are going to be pretty crazy once we get to focusing on Hammer more. We have a lot of like core work to do, though. We have a lot of underlying UI work to do. We have to bring it over to Qt so that Linux mappers can now be a thing. everything else in the code base is over on Linux, except for like the model viewer and like Hammer.
There's not much. Yeah.
There's not much left, and we're making good progress on converting that over. So Linux mappers, rejoice! You won't have to use Wine. You'll be able to just use a beautifully native program for it.
Thank God.
As he intended. Okay. Any other input for Resistance's question here? Cool. All right. Thank you, Resistance. Moving on to the next.
Our next question is actually a really valid question, in my opinion. Tazooka wants to know, they applied a long time ago for the playtest and they still haven't received an email. What if they missed the email?
Then you never get it ever again. You miss the email, no dice. You hate us for it. No. If you miss the email, the game is granted to your account. The email is just a notification. So you don't have to do anything in the email in order to get access. But I want to reiterate, as we do every single time, that we are currently doing small batches, around 50 a day, 350 a week, right? We are looking for people to just give feedback in the general sense of the game, because there's not much to test. Again, we don't want people getting in just to grind times because we're wiping. It's not really in a sense of like we want everybody in right now. It's we want people in over time so we get fresh feedback as we push updates out and break new things or fix new things and stuff. Like we need a varying, degree of feedback, and drip feeding it is the best way to do so. If we shotgun or just open the floodgates, first of all, if we open the floodgates, that's a release. Like that would be releasing, and we only want to do that once at 1.0. So that's out of the question. But if we just shotgunned like 1,000 every week, we'd run out of people in the queue. But then we'd also get all of the feedback basically within those first like 19 weeks because we have 19,000 in the queue. So like we'd run out of people, and then like who's to say they'd keep playing, because again, the game is in playtest right now. It'll be wiped. It's not done. We understand that there's a lot of people that are very passionate about the game and love the idea of the game. We figured the playtest is the most fair way to do this. It's a wonderful feature by Valve, and we really like taking advantage of that, but it has its downsides. And, you know, the only other option really is to just manually generate keys and give them out like we do in these streams, as well as just to contributors and people that have been doing helpful things. So either contributing to localization, so if you speak another language, to our repositories code-wise, you know, if you know, Node, JavaScript, C#, you know, we have a lot of projects like that that would love your input. And, you know, there's a lot of really easy things to pick up that way, especially for the website after this rewrite's done. So, you know, there's a lot of that, but then there's also the mapping backbone that I talked about earlier in the stream. We want mappers to use this, right? Like, it is very nice for testing your maps, right? Like, you have savelog, you have like, yeah, I mean, savelog's huge, but like, you have a lot of nice features if you also want to take advantage of the momentum specific ones as well. But it makes mapping way easier, right? Because of just all of the built-in features around. You can feel how the game's going to play, right? So mappers of any supported game mode, they just need to basically DM like me or any like department head with proof, and that's basically key. And then just people that have been doing really helpful things around the community. So just people in streams and stuff that have been really helpful. You know, people in the Discord that have been answering a lot of questions if we're like asleep or AFK, things like that. Just being a good person also gets you it. And we're sorry that your friend got in, you know, within 2 days, but you didn't. According to Steam, everything is completely random for the playtest. We just give them a number and they grant it to just a random 50, right? Or 350. So not much we can do. We can't control the order. We don't even see who gets it. We only hear from people that their friend got it, right? Like we don't see that. Like we don't spite people. We don't see a list of names and we're checking them off. It's literally just like there's 19,000 in a box, and then there's another box that's like, how many of this 19,000 do you want in? And we just do 50. Hit a submit button and it goes out. We can filter by country, but we don't want to do that. That's dumb. So everyone should have equal chance. So we don't. So it's as random as Steam says it is. And while it's a good feature, there are some definitely improvements. I would love to be able to filter by order, right? Or just kind of change around some of the parameters of how grants work, because yes, there are very passionate people that have been waiting patiently, and thank you so much for waiting patiently. I would love to get you guys the key, but it's just, yeah, we didn't know that it was going to be like this when going into it. So, yeah. Generating keys is also really boring. It's really boring. You generate them and then you have to figure out the best way to like send them out. And it's like, there's people with like scrapers and stuff that like you can't even dump them here normally. Like you have to be creative. And it gets really boring being creative that but anyway, yeah, there's the avenue of Twitch drops. This was brought up I think a couple Q&A streams ago, of where if there's people just watching the stream, you can get the key via that, just watching the stream. So stuff like that would be really cool. It'd be cool to have maybe, once we get our Twitch bot up and running, maybe start integrating it with that, of like it starts giving it away via, like pings in the chat. Just randomly choosing people here. So that are like chatting or any criteria that we set. So there's avenues that we want to take to kind of start to spread the keys more to like people that are involved, people that are not necessarily contributing or mapping or localizing or doing anything really, but they're still involved and they care about the project, right? That's why you guys are here, listening to me ramble about this for so long. But it's important. It's important to support that side of your fan base too. So we're not doing this out of spite. We're not intentionally withholding it from people or anything like that. We just want the slow trickle in just so that we get prolonged feedback just over time. We want it over time as we continually update the game. We let more people in, they get really excited, their friends start to wishlist it too, and the cycle continues until we go public at 1.0, but also on the way there, as we hit 010 and 011, we're going to be increasing that number. It'll be going up to 100, 200 each grant, each day. So like there's no real reason to be upset, because it's better as kind of an overall surprise that you open your email, you open Steam, and you see it, and you're like, hell yeah, right? It's easier that way to handle it like that. And if you want it faster, we have ways to get it faster, but other than that, there's not much we can do. So thank you.
What's the unwritten law? Patience is a virtue.
Virtue, that's correct. And again, I really sincerely appreciate everybody's patience as we work towards these milestone releases. Because 010 we start doing 100 every single day, so 700 a week, right? From 350, right? Like it doubles and doubles, and then soon enough we might not even have a playlist queue anymore, right? That'd be scary. So maybe we might not get to that, but like we do want to make sure that it's a nice ebb and flow. And it seems to be growing, I think, like 100, 200 every day, which is still outpacing our 350 that we do a week. So kind of crazy, but like it's also just really awesome to see that like we don't have a marketing budget. So this is literally all word of mouth or a bunch of people's bot accounts or some shit. I don't know. We can't see who's signing up. So we do know that some streamers have shown interest. I think, what was it, Summit literally pulled it up on his stream. It was like, wow, they should have, like all of these features that we have. And and it was great seeing that, because like that just means we're on the right track. And then I think PokeLols also signed up for the playtest. Who knows if they got in yet. So there's a lot of great content that's probably going to be created once we start opening the floodgate a little bit more. But yeah. So whole spiel, but it's the standard spiel, and hopefully you're understanding. Again, it's very hard to see this kind of I guess emotion behind a username and an avatar replying to you on Discord, but you're not being singled out. You're not being targeted against, getting it or anything. We grant 50 a day currently. It's going to go up. And then we're going to release. And everybody will have access. Everybody will have access at 1.0. Just keep that in mind. And if you want to help us get there faster, we got some open source stuff that you can help out. And that gives you a key. And then you get access to the game, and you get to help, do stuff and make us make us release the game faster. So anyway, any input for Tazooka's question here, even though it's standard spiel. Multiplayer, playtest keys, kind of the
oh no, I guess the only input is playtest stuff. Like, I get that people are frustrated about that, but if we spend time faffing with like doing playtests differently or generating our own key drop system, that would just be a waste of our time when we could be working on the game. So as much as people are frustrated with not getting into game or whatever, like there's also a limited amount that like I engage with people saying that stuff. I'm very active on our Discord, but we'll often just ignore people asking for keys and stuff, because I want to focus on the game and stuff that also actually matters. And it's a bit sort of tedious having to, like,
I do want to mention that we used to have way more criteria for keys, but then it turned into this kind of like weird proving ground of like, oh yeah, I have like 2,000 YouTube subs, I'll make like 400 videos, and then they get a key and they disappear. They just shame on me, right? But like, it's when you get 50 of those people like every fucking week, like you have to start to cut it back into like, okay, like you guys have to either like help us out or like, be a great person that we want to give a key to that like deserves a key. So that's really or just get lucky in the playtest, right? Like get lucky in the draw, because that's the most fair that we could do it, right? The random draw. Because first come, first serve, what happens if you're 19,000th and 2, right? Like, oh great, now I'm never gonna get in, right? So at least you have some fairness there with random, but yeah.
I don't think I was going to say, and then forgot. Oh, yeah, the people that try to get keys by doing stuff purely for the sake of getting keys, like, that doesn't happen very much. Generally, those people, like, if someone says, like...
Not anymore.
...a map to get a key or something, like...
Yeah.
It's really obvious if someone's trying to do something just to get a key, like make some really bad looking map and be like, yeah, I made this map, can I have a key? Like, please don't spend your time doing that. I feel kind of bad for people that do that because they are kind of just wasting their time. Like,
Yeah.
you're learning like to make a single surf ramp and then saying you've made a map or whatever. Like, we're not going to give you a key for that. Also, you've just spent a bunch of time learning a thing you probably didn't care about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, any
I
other?
like the playtest is done. It's really annoying.
Yeah, right.
So much
Like
stress in playtest.
I cannot wait. I mean, we'll have the stress of post 1.0, suffering from success. DJ Khaled style.
When stuff actually matters.
all the hackers that are just gonna destroy our website. No, it'll be fun.
Yeah.
Hope for
anyway.
the best, expect the worst.
Yeah, exactly. Like, exceed your own expectations, right? Like, set the bar so fucking low. We're gonna have 100 concurrent players. That's all I'm expecting. No, I'm just kidding. We'll have like probably 1,000.
On the topic of keys as well, we've done 10. We do 10 a month usually. Sometimes less. We don't do more than 10.
10 a Q&A.
We're
10
done
a Q&A.
Yes.
We do
sorry.
more than 10 a month.
So we're not dropping any more keys today. We're done for keys now, I'm afraid. So if you're here,
strike here when the iron's hot. You gotta get here early. But all right, thank you, Tazooka. We'll move on to the next one. Here we go.
Yeah, our next question by Mr. Burguers. Or I should say they.
It's Mr.
Well, true. They want to know, with the Strata engine being based on CSGO's engine and the team previously exchanging code fixes with Valve, I'm assuming they're moving over to the Strata engine. How will that team moving over to Counter-Strike 2 affect the project?
Right. So this is actually a pretty interesting question. So obviously, there are aspects of Source 1 that are probably still in Source 2, but a lot of stuff has been rewritten. They've pretty much, it's a kind of ground up rewrite, as it should be, because as we've been going through the various strata of this engine, it is messy as fuck and basically needs to be rewritten in some aspects. So yeah, I applaud them for that. And it's a lot. It's a lot of work to do, but it's in terms of what we've been doing, we've been upstreaming a lot of like kind of minor fixes that we've just noticed throughout the code base. We aren't really upstreaming like refactors or anything like that. So we start to every day we stray further and further from God's light with the engine. But like we do, because it's like it's not the same thing anymore. Like we've completely rewritten some like classes, and like BSP loading is like threaded and will be containerized soon, which means we can load BSPs in the background, kind of like Source 2 does, but in a different way because it's BSPs. So like there's like we start to branch away. So we've already kind of stopped sending code fixes over to Valve. We also, fun fact, submitted something to Valve and never got credit for it in like the changelog. So that sucks, but it's okay because like, you know, it like luckily there weren't many bugs that like were so big that we absolutely had to send up. We did send them the for example the rockets in TF2 becoming solid. That was actually found in CSGO because of the raised entity. Like it was raised from 8,000 to 16, and the bits that they used for that overlapped with a mask that was static props. So randomly, when you're firing a rocket in TF2, you could actually spawn a static prop and get stuck or like ejected or whatever from the rocket. So very fun. Bray found that. We submitted that fix, and yeah, it's like it's good to be able to upstream that. There are still, you know, like fixes that we can do like that towards 2013, right, to the potted plant that runs TF2. No, I'm just kidding. The devs that still touch TF2 and those games, you know. So like we can definitely submit patches there, but for the most part, right, how them moving to Counter-Strike 2 affects us is up to Valve. Will they give us access? Who knows? No. I don't think so. Considering what's kind of happened over the past like couple months, there's been leaks and stuff of licensed code from other projects, and I don't think Valve has very much trust in us. Well, maybe not us, but in licensees in general. So unfortunately, right, like we are very amicably, I keep using that word, but we're very much involved with Valve. Like we really want to support them, but we do need to reach out. We probably will actually pretty soon here. Just asking, just kind of clarifying like what's happening with CS2. We were licensed for CSGO, so if CSGO goes away, what does that mean? Does that mean we just don't get any more code from them, or do we get more code from them? So like just figuring that kind of stuff out. We do need to reach out, so we'll do that. But yeah, it's interesting. Again, this ties in with if we were to get CS2 or Source 2, we would pretty much be ripping aspects from it out of it, and basically making a bastardized engine of Strata and Source 2. It wouldn't really be Source 2. It would have a lot of Source 2 elements, and we'd try our best to kind of integrate, right, our stuff into it. But there's a lot of Source 1 specific things that we rely on specifically for the content, right? All of the maps, all of the BSPs and stuff. Source 2 has a completely new lighting system, completely new BSP form. Like there's all of this conversion that would have to happen, which we could write tools or use tools to automate. I'm sure CS2 is going to have some sort of import stuff, but for the most part, right, it's changing a lot of that stuff that like in general we just get for free by being on CSGO based engine. So we don't really want necessarily Source 2 as is, like CS2, like, oh, great, now let's put Momentum on that. It'd be like, let's take this and this and this, like, and we're just like picking it apart. Kind of what the CSGO devs did, because Panorama, fun fact, is actually from Source 2. It's the Source 2 UI framework that they backported. Dota 2 was the main Source 2 game, then Half-Life Alyx, and then now CS2. So they're all kind of in their own little party over there. But, and then Strata is just kind of like in between CSGO and like Source 2. We're vibing, send some paper airplanes over to the Source 2. Like, hey, when? Anyway, no. So yeah, we have a lot of respect and, honor for Valve, and we're absolutely interested to see what they say. So we'll reach out, ask about it. It's okay if they say no. They've already rejected us 1 billion times for getting Source 2. So it's all good. It's just understanding with this move, because we're kind of in the same boat. Like, yeah, does that mean we're not getting CSGO code anymore? Because, I mean, duh, but like, what does that mean? So, who knows? I think, if Momentum were to release and garner a lot of interest, that could give us a bit of like power, I'd say, over like asking for Source 2.
We might get in a room with them. Like,
the
reality is, like, we've not had any long form conversations with Valve like ever, right? Like in terms of actual back and forth, like there's some emails, that's about it.
Yeah.
Like it's relatively little. We don't review requests, so requests are random. Trials are random. So Momentum doing well might get us a meeting. Valve are really annoying to communicate with. I think everyone already knows that. Like,
that's
if we
answering
were to sit down,
Bonsai's question. It was very difficult to get. It took like 5 years. Momentum's been a thing since 2014, and like I reached out to Valve in 2015, never heard anything, and then like continued working on it to get it to where we applied in 2018 with Citadel and Taiwan helping us out, and then from there we were able to get licensed, and then it's just exploded since then. It's amazing how far we've come since then.
But then even now, Valve definitely want to do licensing related stuff less now.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
For one, it takes Valve time, and Valve, to put it frankly, are lazy. They don't want to spend time doing legal stuff, licensing stuff with mods. Valve don't want to make a SDK for Source 2. That's probably a significant reason why Sandbox exists. Sandbox seems like quite a good game, but it probably made a lot of sense for Valve to give Facepunch license to full access for Source 2, because Facepunch then go on and make essentially the
Get
SDK.
respond
even though
to,
it's-
yeah, for Source 2. Yeah.
From what we've seen, I mean, Valve announced Source 2, and the best thing they said about tooling and stuff for it is like, there's stuff for making skins and Hammer 2. They said nothing about SDK stuff. There was the stuff about when Half-Life Alyx came out. I think they said something about SDK, but then that never happened. It seems like unless someone at Valve gets very interested in making an SDK for the game, or lots of people, it seems very unlikely they'll do it.
Yeah.
So,
That's if an SDK brings them value.
Yeah. So the
It's
best
very
thing we can hope
value-based.
for is Momentum doing really well. That gets us a conversation with them, and maybe we get access to Source 2 or some parts of Source 2. That's not going to happen in our current state. I'm certain of that, because Valve, we'd need to have just a shitload of players on Steam, basically,
Right.
I think, and be released. Then again, I mean, even then, we're not making money, so I don't know if Valve are even going to care then. Who knows?
Right.
But yeah. But could I just say, on the thing of stuff like technology and Counter-Strike 2 and hybrid engine stuff, like, we're already kind of the stuff that we really want from Source 2, if you were to ask me the one technology that would be most useful from Source 2, I would genuinely tell you it's Panorama. Like, easily. The rendering stuff is cool, but that doesn't matter a huge amount to our game. Like, I don't think people care a massive amount about visuals in Surf and stuff. Like, it would be nice to have better lighting, all that stuff, beyond Vulkan and all that. But
Better VRAD is probably, yeah.
we don't even know if it's faster, do we? But yeah,
It
I mean,
isn't.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
But so there's definitely the visual stuff there could be good. But in terms of what we want for Momentum to be, is a game that has, a way of doing all this sort of complex racing stuff, where the overall player experience is really about playing loads and loads of maps and having this sort of general sort of trajectories as you're improving in different modes and seeing statistics and stuff, leaderboards, blah blah blah. That's such a fundamental part of our game. The visuals aren't a fundamental part of our game. Having good visuals is nice, but it's not essential.
Yeah.
Being still on good-looking Source 1 stuff, basically sort of CSGO Source 1 visuals, plus we make our own improvements, like our PBR setup. That's something Valve... I'm sure Valve's PBR thing is better than ours, because they have Vulkan and they can do way better lighting and stuff, and we're stuff like Source 1 cube mapping and shit.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
But we can make improvements to graphic stuff going forward. DX11 isn't a bad place to be. It's very unlikely we'll jump to Vulkan, or if we were to make a jump, it would be to Vulkan or DX12. But that's not happening anytime soon. DX11 is still a much better position to be in than Valve was with Source 1 of being on DX9, which is ancient, and Valve never made that. So we're getting back to what I was saying. We have still, I think, the most useful thing, which is Panorama, which is a UI library that is actually just really, really usable. Is good for making dynamic UI with like a lot of complex statistics, stuff like that. We can parse that stuff in JavaScript. It doesn't become an absolute nightmare like in Future UI. Like there's stuff like the end of run page, which I've been working on last year. Like you could never do that in Future UI. You could, but it would be absolute hideous pain. We can do it with a relatively small team and make really, really good UI because we have Panorama, and that UI plays a more central role to Momentum than the visuals. So I don't know. That's one of the reasons I'm just not that excited by Source 2, is we have the thing I like most about Source 2 we already have, and we've had for several years now.
Yeah.
And if we would, like Nick said, we would be on this sort of weird hybrid engine where we probably wouldn't want to be, we still probably do want BSPs, right?
Yeah.
We don't want to have to
support
port
really.
every map to a Right, but I mean, probably the way the engine works at a really low level in Source 2 is probably very, very different. The way it handles just traces and just general world geometry is probably fundamentally pretty different, because they are using this mesh-based engine, and probably not even the way just world data is in memory is probably just, they're not using a BSP style sort of. I mean, it's probably just absolutely different. So I don't know. Porting stuff might work, but I'd be amazed if we ever see a BSP loader for Source 2, even if the Source 2 was open source, if anyone actually implemented that. Like, you'd have to do some.
A couple of things in chat. Someone asked, would you guys say it'd be better if Source 2 wasn't announced? Source 2 was announced years ago.
Right.
Dota 2 is on
With
Source
Dota
2. Like
2.
that's Source 2 is not new.
No.
But I think the other thing Tuplus asked, basically, like, what happens if CSGO is no longer on Steam? Like, how do we get CSGO assets for the maps that we have that use those? I think that's kind of a big concern. Do we have anything to say about that?
We are going to be reaching out to Valve about that as well.
Mhm.
assets and what it means for our license are the two ticket or items on the docket to talk about. Yeah, so we'll get clarification there. Best case they let us just ship CS:GO assets with our game,
And CSS, give us CSS as well, please, and TIF2.
and
Please.
in which case we can completely modify these assets to be way slimmer, way cut down. We can remove the shit that nobody uses in maps, things like that. That'd be cool. We'll see if that's the case. Again, we can't mount source 2 assets. They're completely new. Like, it's a completely new format. We could try to write a vtext, or was it vmat, vmaterial, because it's no longer vtext or whatever.
Yeah.
Or it's not. It's whatever, VTF. So we'll see kind of how we'll go forward, but we got to reach out to them, so we'll do that. And then would it be better if Source 2 wasn't announced? No, because that would just show that Valve is way too lazy and doesn't want to do anything gaming related. But no, they still have people. Again, it's a company, you can kind of do whatever you want, right? So there's people in the company that would love to do gaming stuff still. So they have Source 2, and it's why CS:GO is literally living on in CS2, because it's just sad that it's like the only real like 3 main things that they changed, right? To create the rendering and like mapping for that new rendering, which we don't know how long it's going to take to compile a map yet. And then the smoke grenades, and like they addressed the big concerns about CS:GO, but like, is it really a sequel? And that's more of the like discussion I'd have. It's not, was Source 2 worth it? Hell yeah, it is. It's always good to get on more modern code, more modern, take advantage of more modern APIs, be more secure with better coding practices. Apparently Source 2 boots up really quick, but so does our game now, so whatever.
Valve can do more.
They can do more. Yeah, and
like,
we'll see if they do.
It is baffling that Valve made Danger Zone for CS:GO, because Valve
that's crazy.
Working on Source 1, and the fact they did that is so funny.
That's crazy.
That they decided, let's make a battle royale and Source 1, an engine they know is going to be terrible for it, and they did it. Now they're on Source 2, they might do some interesting other stuff with the game. We'll see.
Yes.
Because
co-op missions are probably going to get fucking wild.
I don't know what they're going to do.
Co-op's probably going to blow
I want
up.
to say, I play CS a fair bit, and I really enjoy watching competitive CS, competitive CSS, not Counter-Strike Source, but cascading sharpshoots. I'm really glad with the direction they're taking. Like, Counter-Strike's in a pretty good spot. I don't know if it's going to bring the Valorant players back, but like, Counter-Strike is in a really good position as a game, and they're essentially keeping it and doing it pretty well. But there's not that much to be excited about CS2, either from a developer point of view, or kind of even as a Counter-Strike player. Like, it is just genuinely very, very similar. And I don't know.
But because it's gotta be, I don't know. We'll see if they keep kind of easing into more features that like they introduce over time. Because again, if they dropped Counter-Strike 2 and it was like, again, if they dropped Counter-Strike 2 and it was like a completely new game, then it would have to, CS:GO. Like, what is enough to bring CS:GO players over and not fragment your community? Which
and they obviously want the economy to stay, right? Because that's the moneymaker. But
anyway, I think we spend a good enough time. Long enough time. No, it's all good.
It's worth addressing this. This is big news in terms of Valve stuff. It's just for us, like, we spent very little time talking about it overall, given how like significant it is. With like, it's on the team. It's not something that really affects us very much. Like, the main thing is contacting Valve about assets and stuff.
Yeah. And I guess we could have written like a blog post, but nobody reads the blogs. No. Yeah, it's like stuff like that where we could have had a little more of a statement around it. But it's it's exciting from a perspective of just like Valve is still doing stuff. They're still doing games, and that's good to see. So I'm glad that it's happening, but we'll see what it means for us. And yeah, obviously we can't contribute code unless they want like our like website, and in which case it's MIT. So okay, but anyway.
Yeah, I do just want to point out that we've been taking a long time on this question, but also we have seven left.
Okay, cool.
So, and we've
That's
been
all
going
good
for quite a bit, so we might speed up a bit.
Yeah, let's speed up a bit. All right, cool. Let's move on. Thank you for that question. Let's move on to the next.
Next question is by V asking, would you say the current state of the game or the game engine code base is as spaghetti coded as it was when you first started working with it?
Yeah. No, it depends. I mean, there's a lot of refactoring being done by Oski, JJ. I mean, SL's getting in there too and doing awesome work, and just like everyone on the teams like getting in there. I mean, movement code in general was a fucking mess, and Rio came in and just fucking revamped all of that, so it's clean. It is so clean now. Very distinct sections of code for each like game mode, or like each kind of platform that each game.
So the stuff that matters to us most and we work with regularly is the cleanest now. Like it's very natural for us to do the game mode stuff like map loading affects us a lot, so a lot of map stuff has really been improved with BSP format.
And just for reference, like
sound is like still
right, yeah, like engine stuff, like the engine is so big that you have to break it down into chunks. So we've really just been doing piecemeal, like, all right, rearrange how this is laid out, because we're eventually getting to the goal of like we're building the most lean fucking engine that we can, because right now it's like everything is inside of it. I'm trying not to break NDA here. Everything is inside of it. So it's like we're just pulling things out and like getting it into their own systems, their own DLLs. You're going to probably start seeing a lot more like DLLs or .so files of like the components of the engine, that then we can start to do things like one unified build of P2C, Momentum, any other game that, you know, we have on Strata. Just kind of like simplifying the workflow there of CI and then also development, and then onboarding any game. Like if, for example, like Jabroni Brawl or any other thing would be like, hey, I want to, you know, let's get on, let's join Strata, right? Be on Strata. They can do it, and it would just literally be a matter of like just importing their like game code and other fixes they might need. So there's a lot of smaller efforts to get towards that bigger goal of like, yeah, engine's going to be way more streamlined down the line. I did I do deep dives a lot into the engine, and one of the most recent deep dives is the dependencies. All of the libraries and like other miscellaneous third-party code that the engine uses was not documented. Some of it was just straight up included in the source tree, and that's terrible when it's like we could be using open source submodules. So you'll be seeing on our Strata source GitHub a lot of forks of just like the stuff we use in the engine, like stuff like that. So and that allows us to be, you know, open source to a degree of like we can edit, you know, some of these libraries and then include them into our engine and be more up to date, more streamlined, right? There's a lot of stuff like that that's just this overarching like spaghetti, and then like getting down into like the meatball, right, of like the engine and just kind of pulling it apart and making a bolognese. Sorry, I'm hungry. So let's getting back to the question here, it's much better. It is much better, but there's still a lot of work to be done. But like, obviously there's always going to be work to be done, right, until we're source 2 right now, until we're comfortable with the projects that are using Strata being built, you know, efficiently and things like that. So
the reality is there's always going to be shitty stuff that we don't touch, like stuff
there's
like
shitty old code that even we're
never going to look at, like
well,
it's very unlikely we will, like, actually no, but maybe we will do, like, what do you call it, fmod sound system, who knows, but like it's just, you know, you think of the source engine, like this big universe of stuff, the stuff that's sort of close to us, like things like movement, map loading, stuff like that, that, you know, we've refactored a lot and is a lot cleaner. The stuff way out there, we don't need to. It's still going to be a lot of really spaghetti stuff. A lot of it's written about 2 decades ago. It's ancient.
Written in C, you know, really old C that's like not really that good and not maintaining resources well, memory leaking, stuff like that. So modernizing a lot of it to use modern C++ standards, you know, making things more CS++ified to better manage state. For example, map loading, right? It uses globals, which is terrible. So we're trying to containerize it so that it uses like a class. And then you're like, hey, this thing, load this BSP. And then the engine has like a method that's like apply the BSP, right? Versus like, I'm loading up BSP and writing it into global memory that like, yeah, the engine, I guess, only has one BSP that it ever needs to load. So let me just grab this global data. Anyway, very fun, like refactoring like that, just kind of stripping everything down into like C++, FIing it, So a lot of fun. Yeah, I can't get too specific. I think that was actually pretty particular, but like there's just a lot of shit like that. There's just old code that from Quake era even that we're just cleaning up, modernizing. It's getting faster. The game's booting faster. We're profiling the game. We're adding, we're going to be adding regression testing. So automatically for every PR, if we break anything, we automatically know instead of merging it in, pushing it to you guys, and oh shit, literally no fucking map is loading, right? Sorry about that. 099 should be stable now. But yeah, there's just a lot of cruft, and we're making it better slowly but surely. Cool. Thank you, V, for that question. Let's go ahead and move on to the next. Oh, I think we already answered this one too.
Yeah, the ammo one we've literally done.
Yep.
Should I ask it anyways?
Yeah, sure. We can just real quick recap it.
Azar is curious to know, will there be ammo and reloading? Some rocket jumps are meant to be done in 4 rockets or less, while others may allow as many rockets as you need.
Yep. Allowing mappers to be flexible with restrictions like that is planned. Yep. We actually, Lumia just had it merged in, I think 098. There's a kind of global ammo system that you can use. So, yep, mappers can start to limit there. There's limits on where rockets and stuff can be used and exploded. So there's enabling, disabling, there's, ammo limiting, and then, there's unlimited, right? Normal speedrun.
Probably show off some of the ammo limits because there's a couple of defrag maps that have already been ported that use them. So
yep,
at the end we can probably show some of those off.
Oh yeah.
I got here a bit late. I don't know if you guys have mentioned, but basically the final ammo stuff has been pushed as of 099. So it really just needs to be documented and stuff. That's pretty much all of it. So yeah, we already have all of this stuff, minus any future bug fixes or whatever.
Nice. So yeah, there you go. Thank you for this question, Ansar. We'll move on to the next.
Our next question by Typhoon. Question is: Are there any plans for sort of point-based ranking system, and will it be game mode specific?
Yes, and yes. We've already answered that here too.
Yeah.
We're kind of recapping.
I don't understand the algorithm still, but yeah, we have a point system.
We'll open source the algorithm. There will be some weights in there for specific political parties.
It's important.
If you're a Democrat, you might be getting less points. Sorry,
Democrats. Yeah, and obviously,
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we'll make sure that the game mode ranking points is actually pretty open. In fact, the current spec is open source. And
the implementation's open source.
That too. Yeah, the website will be open, so you'll be able to see exactly how people get ranked for things. But it is specifically based per game mode. So you have game mode rank points. So
you can try to do some accumulate stuff, but it'd be weird.
No, yeah, I mean it just doesn't.
Kind of meaningless later.
Yeah. It just doesn't really overlap, but we'll have like a screen that shows you like each of the game modes and your total like rank points in that game mode.
I found it. Here's the rank system. Oh,
nice.
There you go. That's a rewritten one.
And that's a rank point system, and then there's an XP system, and that's just based off of playing the game. So just beating maps, beating your PB, winning races, doing challenges. Yeah. That'll be XP, and that goes towards the cosmetic store and just a general level that you have on your profile. So that just shows how much you played the game, as well as unlock, cool things.
This is actually, if we are going to write a system in Rust, this might be the first one we do.
Maybe.
That's a thing for another time.
Maybe. All right. But anyway, thank you, Typhoon. Hopefully you've got that information throughout this. Definitely we've talked about it a lot here. So yeah. All right, moving on to the next.
Our next question by Nethermaker is... Our next question is, movement mixing still a planned feature? Will it be official in the sense that there can be maps created specifically for mixed movement modes?
So the first question, yes, it is still planned 2.0, kind of down the line. Once we get an idea of like the core modes, we can start to open up the like start to tempt the devil of what could be created. But yeah, there's definitely like a Halo custom games-esque kind of system that I want to have of like you can just kind of pick and choose different things from each mode and like enable it. So like surf with wall running on steep walls and stuff like
There's
that.
a lot. We can have so much fun with it.
So yeah, a lot of opportunity there. Will it be official in the sense that there can be maps created specifically for the mixed movement modes? Maybe. It depends on how we want to do it. If the modes can become official, right, the leaderboards have to be able to authenticate the runs, right? Because that's the main thing. So if the mode is competitive enough and warrants being added, we could straight up just import the mixed mode that people are playing a shit ton of and incorporate it either as its own mode or sub mode if it fits as that. So I'm sure Ox has shown a lot of interest in something called D-Hop or B-Frag, where it's like bunny hop, but with the defrag weapons. So you have a lot of like speed, basically. It's very fun, but that could be its own kind of spin-off mode mix thing like this and could be really fun. Who knows? But that's kind of the goal, is like allowing people to create and then just seeing what gets, because hopefully by that point, right, there's still devs on this project and they'll be implementing these modes for you to just be able to use in the game. But we'll see if it's like a scripting layer, we just include the script or something with the game. We'll see what we end up doing down that far down. But
it's so far down the line.
It is so far
really
down.
Hard to give specifics.
This is like around the same era as like campaign, so like that's how far. So 2.0 ish. So anyway, thank you, Nethermaker, for this question. We'll move on to the next.
Next question by CaWU is CaWU asking, can you answer one of these questions with Chat GB or GPT?
Yeah.
I put some in and they were really boring.
Yeah.
Really boring responses. Like we can read one out, but they're boring. It's just like it's doing what you expect from like a good LLM, where it's just like, okay, this is what it can determine from stuff it's read on the internet, and it sounds human. Oh, that.
So here we'll answer this one. Ask this question. I will be your Chat GPT, Zofa.
Answer this question. I will be your Chat GPT.
No. The next question is what we'll answer as Chat GPT.
54Ks.
Oh, so read off the next question?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Next question is by Ghosty4K asking, is there a way to somehow have less pixel holes that stop you, like in B-Hop Canals?
Calculating. B-Hop Canals is a map in the game Counter-Strike Global Offensive, wrong, where players try to navigate through a series of obstacles and perform bunny hops to move quickly. Correct. It is not entirely clear what you mean by pixel holes that stop you in this map, but I assume that you're referring to the gaps or small spaces between textures or objects that can sometimes interrupt your movement. There are a few things that you can try to do to minimize the impact of these pixel holes. Adjust your graphics settings.
Right.
If you are experiencing a lot of pixel holes, try adjusting your graphics settings to improve the visibility of the map. This can help you see the pixel holes more clearly and avoid them. Not wrong, technically. I mean, it's 8K monitor. Practice your movement. Becoming more proficient. Get good, basically. Becoming more proficient at bunny hopping and other movement techniques can help you navigate around pixel holes more easily. By mastering your movement skills, you can reduce the impact of obstacles like pixel holes. Use mods or custom maps. Some players create custom maps or mods that address issues like pixel holes in B-Hop Canals. You may be able to find a mod or a custom map that helps you avoid or navigate around pixel holes more easily.
It's regurgitating. Like
it's like marketing.
How
bullshit.
do you do this thing for this map? And then it's now talking about maps you can play. Like it doesn't have internal reasoning.
I like this one. Play with others. Playing with other experienced players can be helpful, as they may be able to offer tips and strategies for navigating around pixel holes. Overall, while there is no way to completely eliminate pixel holes in B-Hop Canals, which is, I mean, technically true. I don't know. These tips can help you reduce their impact and improve your performance. Improve your performance on the map.
Wouldn't it be funny if it just like gave like Embellis's email? It was like,
here's Ninja Cookie. Ask her. Yeah.
I'm so bored of the ChatGPT stuff. Like it's like reading some like
Tech bro hype. Tech bro hype.
I don't know what the I mean, it's not doing any clever inference here. It's just anyway.
Some, but
no, of course, yeah. This is going to be the next AGI or whatever. Sure. Also, yeah, OpenAI, what a great company.
We're gonna replace these Q&A streams with ChatGPT, and you guys are gonna get the most borderline fucking like crazy shit.
Still, Steam Hams is good.
Yeah.
What is it? Unlimited hams?
Oh, unlimited hams, yeah.
Oh, Yorkshire pudding.
God damn it.
Yorkshire pudding.
Fucking burnt the fucking software. Anyways. All right. So thank you, Ghosty4K. There's no way to do it. I mean, ChatGPT answered you, but there's no way to do it except for fixing the map to have less displacements, or fixing displacement collision, which would be a good way to do it. There's probably some system that you could devise where you have maybe a bigger bounding box that's colliding with a displacement, and if it gets caught, then you just bump the player instead of having them traced into it. There's things like that we could do, but it would probably mess with game feel. The easiest solution is to just fix the map. Where there's problematic things, AHOP canals, for example, and Embellis went through and painstakingly found the areas that were most impacted by it and just made them brushes, like invisible brushes. So that would probably be the way to do it. It's the unfortunate side of using displacements. It's kind of what happens when you have a mesh-based system and discrete traces against them. It's what CS2 is hitting with their ramps that they're importing.
Similar, at least, but their traces are obviously going to be very different. Or there's probably
different physics.
Like different.
Yeah, different physics.
That might actually be something worth taking from Source 2 if we ever got it. If we ever got like the Rubicon code replacing IVP with Rubicon, but I think we're still planning on moving to Jolt, right? So
yes.
That's still probably more than good enough for us. But
yeah, it's deterministic.
It'd be interesting to see their
That's all we need. Code. Yeah. Because Rubicon, I believe, was designed from like just studying IVP and like getting it to be as close to 1-to-1. And was it Sergey? I don't know. There's some really good talks about it on YouTube, but from like GDC. But anyway, thank you, Ghosty. Hopefully that helped answer. Hopefully ChatGPT just made your day. But yeah. Anyway, moving on. I think to our last asked question, but then we have one more that I wanted to touch on in our voice team as well.
Well, our second to last question is by ASR asking, can we keep some silly wall bugs for some cheesy shenanigans?
No.
Assuming gimmicks.
Yeah,
wall bugs we're getting rid of, right?
Wall bugs are out of the game. They're inside of the movement code, like the tracing, like engine level movement code. They're gone. The way that they've been fixed is so deeply ingrained into like performance, like heavy collision, that we do not want to spaghettify that code in order to add them back. Because it's like matrix math, like it's a ton of math that we don't want to just keep.
Anyway. Did that work? I don't know much about it.
I believe was it Rio and Ildpret gave some input.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, an excellent write up from Ildpret, I believe, on it. If I got that right. So it's really helped us nail these down. A lot of it is float math. Turns out floats suck, so don't use floats in your engine. Anyway. Yeah, very fun. But
I'll also add for people who are familiar with this, who might be wondering, like, wait, you had wall bugs fixed on 087 and you didn't have engine access then. What's the difference? There were a couple of different fixes that went in. We were able to fix it at a high level originally because we didn't have engine code, but now that we have engine
like how
code,
a plugin
fix the.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But since now we've actually fixed it at the underlying level, I think honestly the original fix was just like a sign error.
Yep.
In the trace code or something.
Yep.
It's just we can't really change that trace code easily without lots of potential issues. And even if it was straightforward, it'd still be really ugly, horrible code.
Yep.
And we share this engine with other projects, so yeah, it's just not really feasible to like add a switch or make a trigger or something that enables wall bugs.
Right.
We might be able to make some mechanic that kind of emulates it,
Mhm.
but actually putting wall bugs back in the game is just not viable. It's not really going to happen.
Yep. Yeah, pretty much nailed it. So funny floats. Hey, Elpret. Yeah, Elpret's really an awesome resource for basically anything movement. A lot of rocket jump related movement. Also helped out with the original rocket jump and seek jump, I believe, implementations. So good to see you in chat. But yeah. So yeah, Lumia just nailed the rest of that there. So hopefully that answers that. We'll move on to our last question, which was asked earlier in the stream, but is pretty interesting and I wanted to talk about. It's in voice team. I quoted it there, if you find that.
Okay, our last but not least, very last question, but not the very least. Man, I butchered that one.
It's all good.
Shinra Tensei or Shinra Tensei HC. Tensei? Okay, I got it right.
Tensei, yeah.
Time. Always go with the first your first guess. Always go with the instinct.
Go with the gut.
Yeah. Question is, how about music in the game? Can I submit tracks for the game or...
So music in maps is a very good way to express yourself, but a very, very good way to make your map fucking huge. Audio is very... it's very hard to get audio, especially long form tracks, shipped, with a map, and like if you want to have multiple tracks or whatever, right, you have to compress them down. Luckily, right, like when it comes to music like that, we have control over the sound system and could look into supporting things like, which I think we already do, OGG, and like it doesn't have to be WAV, right?
Oh, it's still WAV, isn't it?
Yeah, those are like that's lossless, like WAV, like or FLAC, I guess technically, but like those formats would be absolutely massive. So probably looking more into kind of compression around assets, including audio, different audio formats that you can still ship with the game and have really good like quality, but have it compressed down so that it's not ginormous. And then when it comes to submitting tracks for the game, in the sense of like the OST, we do have an audio team, and they make some banger tunes. So it's really just a matter of getting in touch with them and seeing, if they like your vibe and stuff like that. Because for the most part, we do have a team already for a lot of the music that we have planned for like the campaign. So realistically, just getting, people involved in seeing if they vibe and can build off of, right? Because there is going to be too much, or such thing as too many cooks, right? We don't want too many music producers, because then we won't really have like a theme, I guess, for our soundtrack, and we want to have like a consistent theme, at least sort of, for the various game modes. So we'll see, but yeah, definitely
join our Discord. Post some of your creations in the art channel.
Yeah, share your work.
Post it in there. See if you get a response from somebody. Mention that you're posting some of your work. You're interested in getting involved on the project. So just make it known and see if someone reaches out to you.
Yeah,
I have a technical correction. Source supports MP3. You can have MP3 music.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, we do have MP3. I was confused. Funny. I was thinking, like, wait, if it was WAVs, like these maps would be enormous. No, you can do MP3. And MP3 you can actually get is a pretty good format for getting like a small listenable music file. So we do actually have that. So doing single tracks and stuff isn't too bad. And given that you have control over the music stuff, such that it will integrate with like music slicers and stuff. Well, like doing single bits of music for maps is okay, especially after a 10, when it will be a requirement for maps being submitted that if they do have music, they have the file name set up in such a way that they will be controlled by the music sliders, so people can turn them off, because most people are going to want to turn it off, frankly.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think it's really important for anyone that wants to contribute art to the game to talk to the artists. That's a really big deal. I mean, we like that for source code contributions too, but like, you know, in theory,
you have to for source code.
PR.
Yeah.
I mean, but like, in theory, someone could just like randomly open up a PR on GitHub, like out of nowhere, right? It's probably not going to be great. But like with art especially, because, you know, we already have artists and they have a particular vision and things they've already been working on.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes people ask like, oh, can I just like submit these textures I made 3 years ago? And it's like, no, those textures aren't going to work with what we're doing. You know, it's really important to communicate with us if you want to contribute. But we definitely would love to have more contributions, especially like animators, especially.
Yes.
You know, right?
Yeah.
If you know any animation and would love to animate first person or even third person like taunts and stuff, where we have a lot of stuff coming down the cosmetic pipeline that would be very, very nice to have, you know, a consistent...
It's you or Mixamo, so
yeah. Oh, true. Yeah, Mixamo. Mixamo Adobe is like generative thing. Cool. There's one more I just wanted to quickly touch on. How are we going to deal with having correct zone placement, start and end, especially if you're going to allow people to import maps? The map selector is key. It is your single source of truth. So if you're playing an official map, you have, you know, the map downloaded from there. But obviously, right, we can't trust the client. So we will have run validation being run on our server that uses our zones and our map version. So even if you tricked our game into thinking you had the right version, your run would be disqualified if you use some sort of like different zone start or different, you know, we will have run validation on our end. So we will catch pretty much all of that.
Yeah, we allow people to make zones for the purpose of authoring maps, importing maps, but like we don't allow people to just like arbitrarily make zones.
Right, that won't submit.
Questions about.
Correct, yeah, that won't submit. Yeah, if you just zone a map, it won't like create a leaderboard on our site. We used to have the Steam leaderboards, and it would do that because there's like it's all client side, which is gross. But yeah, in the full 1.0 release, it'll be server side validated anti-cheat. So yeah. No need to worry there. It'll be consolidated. Yeah, custom zones, like split zones, that's something we're also discussing in our design spiel we're doing. So yeah, we'll see how that comes out. But yeah, split zones will be you place them down. Comparison, the only problem with that is that comparisons are a little weird. Like you have to wait until a replay or something hits it in order to really compare. Like you won't be able to get like instant splits, if that makes sense, because it would have to calculate the replay. Like you'd have to watch a replay going through all of them. But that's, you know, that's the trade-off. At least it'll just be invalid or empty data until they do. But it is doable. So yeah, we'll have split zones as well. Split like volumes that you define, and it's separate from like the official map like timer zones, and those are just for your own personal reference. We want you to have as much control over being able to kind of compare where you are against whoever, against, you know, whenever or whatever time. We will store every PB that you do in our, every PB that you do, and then deleting, you know, the replay from the old one. So we only keep the replay of your PB on a specific category, on a specific map of a specific game mode. So we do save a lot of your replays, but we only save the replay history of world records. So you get rank 1 and then someone beats you, your replay sticks around, and then, you know, somebody beats that or rank 1, then that, yeah, world record history is big. So having the graphs to go into the various YouTube videos that I'm sure people will make doing very fun, you know, world record history videos on niche maps or making drama about that. Yeah, it'll be fun to see. But yeah, cool. Okay, that's it for questions. That's it for questions from chat. We can pick up more as we start to play the game. Let's tab over to the game. We got like 20 minutes. Yeah, that's good. That's a good amount. This is the part where we play the game with you boys and girls and other
etc.
people. etc.,
etc.
etc., and so on. Let me switch over to gameplay. Oh, and let me get Zofa in here. Oh, oops. Zofa needs to
Flying
move.
High Tower is an all-time Momentum mod peak. You can stop development here. That's all that was needed. It doesn't even submit runs.
It's broken.
That might not be in the game in more after like 12 hours from now. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe. Gotta do the standard spiel for those that are new. Sorry for those who aren't new. Momentum Mod is a free-to-play game that is gearing towards centralizing all of your favorite movement game modes in one place. How do we do that? We have the map selector. So the map selector is a beautiful piece of UI that lets you filter and play whatever mode you want, whenever you want, for however long you want, with whoever you want. With whoever you want, you ask, how does that work? Well, you see in this tab here, because we're not a multiplayer game, multiplayer is actually just a layer on top of our game that extends across different maps, or even in the menu. If you'd like to just be a weirdo and hang out in the menu like I am, you can join maps and see awesome people, chatting over here and stuff. It's pretty cool. And you can make friends. You can see what maps they're playing and what they're enjoying. You could eventually, we'll add, right click, join and stuff like that down the line. And it's pretty nice because this is all through Steam. This is, you don't have to port forward, you don't have to do shit. It's literally, if I were to come over here and hit create, it is like 2 clicks to actually create this. It's pretty cool. We want to encourage people playing in lobbies as much as possible, but you don't have to. It's optional. You don't have to play with other people. I could leave this lobby and become a recluse for the rest of my Momentum life. It's my... I'd rather not. No, I'm just kidding. But it's pretty nice. And down the line, right, we talked about user profile. It used to be here. We have a nice mock-up. It'll be here eventually. But like, we'll have your stats, your achievements, your milestones, stuff like that. We'll have, leaderboards and like, yeah, stuff like how you rank against other like people and stuff like that. We have credits, the changelog. We're actually going to get rid of this tab because in the main menu, we have the changelog there. So just read the Steam announcements. We're going to get rid of this. We used to ship it. That's actually how old it is. We're 3 versions out of date now. We used to ship a file that would ship with the game, and it's just boring to update that when we're literally doing it right here, right? Like, so if you don't see what's happening in the Steam client when you go to boot the game or in game with this panel, which yes, you can hide this if you don't give a shit. But you can see the room that's right here. That's where we're going to be adding new maps that have been added. We have to get a mock-up in place for that. And then this is just a stand by like temporary panel. For model panel, we'll eventually have your player model, and you can customize that too, just making it feel more and more like CS:GO or other multiplayer games that you're used to. We don't have this the cosmetics, but it'll be up here. But what we do have is a learn section, a very important section for Momentum, because if you don't know what the fuck you're doing, you're not gonna have fun. So we got to be able to teach you from literally square one. Like, I don't know how to press W, to okay, this is how you can pogo, or like, what are we doing here? We're horizontal air pogo to vertical air pogo, just becoming an air pogo crazy boy. You can choose your path. But yeah, ideally, every game mode has the mechanics broken down into individual chunks that you can learn, and as you beat them, it saves that progress here, and you can just get better and better through this. And then not only that, but we can make these tags, and then maps can tag what kind of mechanics they have in them. So when you do, for example, I guess maybe not exit ramp low, but like, was it strafes or turns or something? If you do a bunch of spins, right, and you like spinning for some reason, you can click on this and it'll show maps that have spins in them. But because it's a tag, you could also go to the map selector and search for that tag. So like, that'll be the plan for that too. But just kind of integrating it all, in the one spot. You learn and you can play some more maps that have that if you liked it, or you want to get better and just like apply yourself into an environment that tracks and like is a leaderboard. So I don't think I have mapping mode on, so I can't actually play these practice maps. We use some commands that are behind mapping mode right now. We're patching that out soon. We'll have it integrated into the base game so we can just get the most people playing it. But yeah, and then yeah, all the settings that you could ever want just in one place. You can search, right? So if I want like rocket, like, oh, here's rocket jump, and then there's a bunch of tags. You could do probably RJ as well. Bunch of tags, you can go to it. Oh, I want to turn off the rocket trail sound, for example. Yeah, you can search for it. It's pretty nifty. And so, we can have this really deep customization, but still have that simplicity around like, kind of like, how do I turn off, like, what is it, delay, like the delay for the rocket. Oh, there it is. So stuff like that. We spend a lot of time with this UX, and we always take great feedback from people that are just like, hey, like, what if, I search and it actually matches RJ for rocket jump as opposed to just rocket. So stuff like that, we incorporate the side panel that describes every single setting that you can hover over, and what they do and like what each value is and stuff like that. Or alternatives that you could use, like for example, view model offset. So just kind of, and then not only that, but docs page, you can open that up. It opens up the Steam web browser to have even more documentation if we have a whole like page on how to use something like that. Apparently that doesn't exist. FOP view model does not have a docs page. Good to know. That's a default.
Isn't that a soul specific thing? Do we do docs pages for those?
No. So it's all good. But yeah, we'll have things like, customizable interface, being able to drag around the HUD and stuff like that. So we'll have a lot of fun stuff. Speaking of fun stuff. So you can see how like new maps are shown here. I mean, we default to date released latest, but you can filter. We'll have, this is kind of duplicated, but it's like, ascending, descending. We'll have like a little toggle button here that does that for you. So you can sort alphabetically, you can sort, tier based. You can go through all the tier 1s first. You can also filter for specific tiers. So like only tier 1 through 3. So a lot of filters here. You can really just customize this how you want and play what you want. It's really important for us too. So yeah, we added climb. That is our grand happy April update. And yeah, it's broken, but this is a good showcase of in-game as well as some important changes that we've made. So a lot of you that have played TF2 might recognize this map. It's a good payload map. That you get to just kind of explore around. Like, why am I smiling? All right, let's see. So yeah, so we added climb. It has fucking strafe meter, I guess so.
Why have you got that strafe thing on?
I don't know. It does not like me walking forward, but yeah, so like we can import TF2 maps. It's pretty good. But with our engine limits, we can start to like push the limits a little bit of like what's possible. So you can start to like really go a little crazy with what with what you can do compared to the traditional Source 1 BSP format. We added a couple more like floors to High Tower.
Couple more, yeah.
Just a few. So like you're really able to like push the heavens if you want to.
Just some minor changes. You won't even notice it.
Yeah, but it's pretty cool. People have begun their climb, but begun their ascent. But yeah, so Source BSP format in CSGO and before has a very limited grid size, as well as limits around kind of like models, and these are great limits. Limits are fantastic to have. You don't want to have maps that can just fucking balloon, because that's how you get like a zip bomb. So that's good, but they're from 2004 and they haven't really been touched, because realistically, right, like who in CSGO is going to need all of this space? Like, could you imagine opping from? I don't even think the bullet's going to make it. Like, you'd actually have to up the you'd actually have to up the distance. Anyway, but yeah,
it's really good on increased gravity.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, you fall pretty quickly if you increase the gravity there. That's where the fucking checkpoint is. That even halfway? Is that like visually halfway? No, it's not. That's like 3/4. Anyway, yeah, it's pretty great. So yeah, you can actually see the view model warping a little. There are some caveats to having maps this big. Obviously, there's rendering code, and the way that you get closer and closer to the edge of a map, it starts to kind of warp. We still have to work on that. It's just how this is rendered, because of the vertices being projected in world space, and there's a lot of them. It's a higher poly model on the arm here. Yeah, we just have to kind of change how view models are rendered, I'd say.
Yeah, can you just spec me?
Oh, yeah. I think.
What does this look like on inspec? Like if I... Hello.
Alright, I'm in spec. Yeah, you just teleport.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just teleporting. It's like you're save locking.
The thing, if you walk off here with incredibly high gravity, you actually get like slingshot in a really weird way.
Yeah. It's pretty good. So keeping in mind, by the way, oh wait, oops, I meant to do that. Keeping in mind, this is actually just vertically how high I can go, right? There's still the other dimensions. So technically, you can do that wide, that deep, you know, and that high, I guess. High, wide, deep, 3D, you know. So, pretty cool. I mean, yeah, there's some minor graphical glitches, but it performs really well. Like, it, you know, I'm hitting 300 FPS just fine. And it's an abomination. It must be destroyed. I can't set it on fire. We didn't add pyro jumping yet. But yeah, I'm very excited. I mean, this is just a joke right here, but like, it's very exciting to see what mappers are going to be able to do with this. Bunny hopping in KZ. But yeah, it doesn't submit. That's not an April Fool's. It should have submitted, but we've never tested like adding a new mode yet. So there's probably something in the back end that needs to be redeployed really quick. So we'll figure that out. But it should submit, and it sucks because it takes 35 minutes. I think that's the world record, 35 minutes to climb this fucking thing. So
no, people have done runs on it.
No elevators, but there are some surprises that you'll find as you do the climb, as you ascend into heaven. But yeah, I guess we can do. Did somebody redeem Please Actually Play Conk, or should I do like an actual map? Because as much fun as doing that, I'll fall asleep.
We can show off the ammo system quick.
What was that?
Show off the ammo system. I posted it in voice team.
Oh, is the map added, or is it?
No, you'd have to drag it into your files.
Oh, I got it. Yeah, let me do that.
Yeah. But yeah, it's got both the set ammo triggers and add ammo triggers, so you can show both off.
Yeah. Oh, but it's defrag. I suck at defrag. Why can't it be a hop? No, yeah, I'll get it.
We need
is it missing
A-hop first? Yeah, need those weapons in A-hop. Grenade launcher.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't wanna.
Yeah.
SMG names would be fun. The RPG though, do we want to get a fucking RPG?
Rocket Jump 2.
Fucking thing that like goes where you aim. I think I did look at the code for that. It's pretty straightforward, the RPG stuff, but still, do we really...
Getting this map? Alright. Oh, I already had one.
Yeah, this is the updated one with the ammo system in place.
Stuff.
So yeah, it's the same map we played last month, but now the ammo actually works because of the recent changes.
When starting out, use.
Well, that's true.
I think that's the text wrapping shit. It's the same stuff that breaks the
Oh,
so
what?
where's
Is that the toast? Is that
Okay,
the
so
toast
these red volumes are triggers. So you've got rockets.
Oh, there's the
See at
weapon.
bottom right, you've got your ammo count.
There you go.
So yeah, this is how the ammo system would work. You just have the number, and then once you hit 0, you won't be able to shoot anymore.
Can't left click anymore. Wait, why is attack and defend not showing up? Or attack and
there's an issue for that. It's been like that since the start.
Oh, it just needs the capacity. Yeah.
Oh wait.
And then you get to these, and then it adds 3 more, and you can walk through that again to get another 3. So you get 6 rockets.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, the teleporters aren't fixed.
You're gonna have to nuke that back up.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
I'll also want to say that this system was mainly designed for Defrag, but it does work in all the other modes. Like you can use this exact same thing in any mode with weapons. So you can make a map that gives the player like 5 conks to do a jump or whatever. Yeah. There's also ammo pickup entities that are separate from the trigger controlled ones. Because you can control it through triggers or buttons or any other kind of map logic, but there's also special pickup entities. Those can be like the backpacks in Conk, for example. There's some other features and stuff that it has. I'm working on getting the documentation for that public so that mappers can start to use this. But yeah, I think it's a pretty flexible system that'll be able to do a lot of interesting things in all the weapon modes.
When do we add the UI for this?
That was part of the original commit.
Trippy.
You actually helped me with it. You were in a call with me, helping me. Like,
is this a no draw? What is this? Okay, I'm gonna stop giving people seizures.
The skybox rendering issue that Vans was talking about.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, that still happens when you're standing in certain visitors.
Dang.
So it's supposed to give you ammo on reset, and we just don't have that.
It's supposed to take away your rocket launcher on reset.
Oh, I'm sorry. You start with you're not supposed to have ammo.
Yeah, you're not supposed to have a rocket launcher, and then you pick up the rocket launcher with 3 ammo at the first one. So
yeah, it sets it to 3 there. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the set function.
Definitely, we should do icons for the ammo types.
Yeah.
Just so you know that this big 0 represents rockets.
It'll be whatever
this was
current
like a
weapon.
totally placeholder.
Yeah.
It was just kind of there to demonstrate it.
Yeah.
No, this is cool.
We might need to port target in it or some equivalent from Defrag to get the proper reset behavior. And it shouldn't really be totally necessary for map restart, but maps use it in other places too.
Yeah.
Damn it. Yeah, I suck at Defrag though. I plan on getting better, but oh fuck. Okay.
Who has the time?
No. Rockets don't boost you as much as they do in RJ.
They do not.
Crazy. It's more of like an added speed boost. Do you really have to just aim straight down to get the most out of them?
Yeah,
because
straight down
scan,
behind you.
Gotcha.
Don't lead your shots at close range.
Okay, and that's what I'm used to from RJ. That's what's fucking me. That's the only thing that's fucking me. I'm now unlocked.
Just turn 180 degrees behind you every time you shoot a rocket, and it'll be super quick.
Like Half-Life Gauss boosting.
Yeah, when are we adding that day off?
Yeah, that'll be fun.
It was not even Half-Life 2.
Shit.
We got
can I even make this jump?
Like,
oh no,
plasma
I can't.
orbs so we can do stuck launching. Worth it.
Yes. All right. There we go. But yeah, it's just a very nice system that Defrag needs, and then some rocket jump maps did have some resupplies, but this is going to be replacing the need for resupplies, so we can strip those entities out without just straight up. Again, we don't want to cater to the Sims shooter, the military sim shooter. So we want to kind of make things a little more streamlined, way easier for mappers to deal with because they aren't doing like a Valve entity for their speedrun ammo limiting. They're using a speedrun ammo limiter trigger. So
yeah, I know that a lot of the conk players are excited because all the old school maps just sort of limited you to 4 conks, so the system works pretty much perfectly for that as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is
Yeah.
I can't remember what I was gonna say. I'm tired.
Yeah, we have to fix that rocket firing bug of like the
buzz.
Yeah, a little like bug. Yeah.
But no, I mean, it's nice how simple the ammo system seems to be. Like, fun. I guess, like, as programmers, like, the fact that we're quite good at, like, having some number that, like, increments and decrements, and you track that, and you show it on screen, that's not that hard.
Yeah.
I mean, Just forget the part where Lumi had to basically rewrite the entirety of the weapon code because it was
Oh, yeah.
garbage.
It is absolute utter garbage from Half-Life
Yeah.
2. But like there's even more consolidation that needs to happen. It's like in its own subsystem right now, and like I'd like to unify
What weapon systems do we have?
the rocket jump, sticky jump, conch I think is embedded in that, and then Defrag came in.
There's like 3 different ammo systems in the code.
Yeah.
One of them's the dead Half-Life 2 thing we don't even use, but the code's still there.
Yep.
One of them is like a weird ammo type system that's only used for the hit scan weapons in B-Hop. And then the other one is this one.
Oh, okay. So are we going to consolidate everything into the third then? Or what's the...
Yeah, it'd be nice to rip out all the old stuff and rethink some of it.
So how much of this system is yours then? Is this a lot of stuff rewritten by you? Or...
Yeah, this system is completely from scratch.
Oh, great. Okay, so presumably that's not the hardest refactor ever then.
No.
It's like it's...
Yeah, it's mostly going to be ripping out all the older stuff. There's there's stuff that's happening where like weapons really should be determining how much damage they do, but instead the player determines how much damage is done to them by the weapon. It's a bizarre system.
Weird stuff though, yeah.
And you have like weapon switching code that's all over the engine. It's terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably fine for Half-Life, but
But
for
yeah,
our
Half-Life
sort of single-player game, we don't really need stuff split across client and server like that to that extent.
There's some stuff in Half-Life that is just crazy that like systems and source are based off of. Because it's so clunky.
And the mosquitoes, But yeah, okay, what time are we at? Feeling a little tired. We did hit 3 hours.
Just 3 hours,
Yeah, so we did show off a little bit. Was there anything else I'm missing on showing off? I can show off.
You can quickly show off the new plasma gun and machine gun animations, maybe.
Are there is there a map that has that?
Precision should have a plasma gun at some point. And
wait, does it
spawn with a machine gun as well?
Is it in? I don't know.
It's on the map browser.
Oh,
Yeah.
it is there. Okay. Yeah, the new shotgun's really exciting. Yeah, the new assets. So this is a plasma. Wait, no, that's the machine gun.
Yeah, so we can see the new machine. Oh, the machine gun animation isn't working.
No, there wasn't. I don't think there was a machine gun animation. I think it was a plasma gun, right?
We had both, I thought.
Oh, and then right click now works for the the knife. We got a lot of feedback about that.
Yeah, if you snowclip just up this first line, there's a plasma gun.
What have we got for new guns? Have we shown off a shotgun?
There it is. Jesus, that sound. That's terrifying. Oh my god, it sounds like a fucking like electric transformer like exploding. Or like a Tesla coil, like, oh my god. I don't know how to use it. Also, we're still firing the fucking rocket as the projectile. That's funny.
We don't have a plasma projectile.
Not yet.
It's basically just a particle ball, right? Or something.
Yeah, it's either a sprite or a model or something. Yeah.
I'm doing it. There we go.
Defrag is just too hard.
Yeah.
It's so hard. I don't even. It's gonna take me a while to get used to it. I'm not even looking at the. What angle do I look at for this? Oh,
You've shot the machine gun, so your crosshair is not actually where your projectile.
Oh fuck! That's right. We still have that bug too. Oh, and here's the grenade launcher.
That's a classic bug. We should keep that. Have we shown off some of the new models? I lost track. Did we show off a new shotgun?
Yes. Oh wait, not the new shotgun actually. Let's go to a shotgun map. What's a shotgun map? Just any rocket jump. Yeah.
RJ Cube is like the go-to one with nice lighting and spawn.
Okay. We will fix that. That's not a feature. That is a very annoying bug. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait to actually do some of the networking stuff on our game site.
But yeah, we got a new shotgun made by False. Literally finished up last night. Very, very nice. Fits the game way better than the other one.
Off of the old model, which is not a terrible model, but
no,
like very aesthetically like.
Yeah.
basically the same profile, so all the animations still fit and everything. But
Yeah.
Yeah. Just getting all the guns and stuff finished up is so nice, just to have that consistency.
All right, I'm about to quint. Here we go.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, that worked.
I'll play some RJ. It's been a while since I played the jumps.
God,
I don't think I can beat Cube. Also, Cube is a longer map. So it
yeah,
might have been-
very long.
Yeah, it might be actually better
We can
to
do course 1 and maybe 2.
Let's do Summer, actually. Summer is a classic. Made by... Map by... Wait,
I'm sure
it's
it will
Map by.
tell you at
Yeah.
the start.
There it is, even before I'm loaded in. Map by Mac. The man, the myth, the legend. In the call. What the fuck was that? Alright, here we go.
I'm Matt.
I'm about to get
We
gamer.
should have some UI that shows that.
I missed that bug. That bug was fantastic.
It was triggered by like literally everybody. No! Damn it. I didn't time the rocket right. What am I doing? What the fuck? Okay. Squandering my PR, that's what I'm doing.
Oh my god, rocket jump is so bad.
It's so bad? What?
Yeah.
How is it
The
so
worst
bad?
mode. The only bad mode in Momentum.
I get it. April Fools.
Got him.
As if I, Yeah, I like that April Fools just it didn't even work.
I mean, it
Yeah.
just
I
makes
should
it
say,
better,
in our
to be
defense,
honest.
like, we have April Fool's ideas that we want to do that are too much commitment and too much work.
There's a lot, yeah. We have a lot that are like gonna be really spicy if we don't.
The high tower map.
Damn
I originally started doing it because, as you might have seen, we've renamed the engine recently because the engine name is left bad now. And we're doing a new website for it.
Fuck.
Website, we were going to do a big chunk of stuff for like engine features. I don't know if we're
There
going to
we
do that eventually. I don't really want to work on that site anymore. But I was thinking like, okay, what's a good way to show off the BSP changes? What's a really big map? And I just thought, oh, what if we did a bigger version of High Tower? Because that's a tool thing. So I started working on that, and then realized, oh yeah, this would be a good April Fool's just to actually zone and add it. How long till game releases? We don't have a date, because if we did know that, we'd tell people, but we don't know that. So,
When it's done.
When it's
done,
ready.
yeah. How to spectate? Go to the lobby menu and then press #lobby_spectate and then shout at me to fix that sometime. Or someone else could fix that, because that code is open source.
Is it really just not called lobby spectate? Was it?
I
What's
don't
the
know what's
token?
wrong with it. Anyone can go on the co-editor and see the token. I think it might be like missing a dollar localize or something. I don't know. Why did I love how Valve like stole jQuery sometimes.
Yeah.
Pretty fun.
Oh damn it. Been a bit since I used to not be able to do this map at all though. I'm very happy with my progress.
I'll step in and get it done. Yeah, if you want to finish the game first, yeah.
Honestly, that's how you get a key. That
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
attitude. Seriously. I'm
Or also
serious.
like
It's very infectious.
Want to genuinely really want to just get the game out. People that care the most are the ones that are like on the team now and doing stuff for the most
Yeah.
part. I mean, I don't care. I don't want this game to come out. I want it to be playtest forever because I don't know. No.
It's just really funny making people wait for a key. It's just we're sadists.
Yeah,
we hate
yeah,
all
that's-
of you.
We just want to.
It's not like we actually really want the game to be out and see people enjoying it and playing it
Yeah.
or anything like that.
Oh damn it.
That's a really bad mindset for it.
No kidding. Damn it. Hell yeah. Got it off the lip.
That's
Can't
really
fucking-
cracked you up.
Now, obviously, we want the game to come out. We
Yeah.
just can't put a date on it because we're all volunteers, you know?
Yeah, we
We
do
don't-
genuinely spend quite a lot of time stressing out about release and stuff. And yeah, like I'm doing a lot of web work at the moment that I don't particularly
No.
enjoy, but it needs doing, so I'm doing it. Like, you know, There is more exciting stuff to do, literally just as a programmer, and also just in life overall. But yeah, I want to get this game done.
Yeah.
I don't actually want to just write JavaScript all day.
It's a living, you know, living off of just doing this in our free time. It's a good time though. It's everybody on the team is really knowledgeable and learning and very nice. So,
I mean, sometimes I shout at people.
Yeah.
I don't shout at people. I do.
You shout at Traz.
I do shout at Traz. We in Traz have actually been doing some really cool stuff lately on thinking about new designs for both the website dashboard, like the big thing with all the statistics and stuff, but also the front page, like momentummod.org, because it looks a bit crap at the moment. So we're messing with new ideas for that, which is fun because I don't do a ton of front end work, but I know it reasonably well.
The fuck was that?
Rarely do it anymore.
Really interesting sitting in voice chat with you guys when you're working on that. And just I don't understand how you scream at each other so much just over website design, just yelling.
Not true.
Passionate coding.
Not true. It is a bit true.
Oh god. Oh. Can we get the pogo? No.
I don't want to have a billion arguments. The clip will never.
That's a pretty good
clip.
clip.
A very good clip on this Twitch channel of.
What you doing?
There we go. Got it.
I'm not arguing.
I'm just talking about programming stuff and Traz interprets it as me just.
Oh no! The audio bug.
If you think that's bad, you should hear me playing Overwatch with Traz, which is.
No, I didn't see the rocket. I thought I was looking at it. All right. Once I beat this map, we'll go ahead and raid.
Oh, I beat it.
Fuck! I thought I was ahead of it. Yeah, if anybody would like to stream Momentum, we'll raid you. If anybody already is, we'll raid them. What am I doing? Or I'll just never beat this map and we'll never stop streaming. Marathon? Subathon? Happening right now.
Okay, everyone's trying to air shot you.
Shit. Need the Ctap better.
How annoying would that be? We just added combat, but only for air shotting each other and rocket shot.
You get air shot, you have to instantly go back to start.
Yeah. You get sniped. Damn.
But I've been playing some TF2, just pub TF2 when I'm tired lately, and then playing Rocket Jump in Momentum is unbelievable how different it is.
Right.
It's even just trying to jump at the
feels.
original and some TF2 pub, it's just so, just the
Clunky.
responsiveness of it just feels so much nicer. I joke about not liking Rocket Jump. It is my least favorite mode, but mainly because I use quite a low sense. But yeah.
Oh, Pog. Let's go. I lost all my time at the end there. I know, right? Got him. So that's it for me and my mediocre rocket jump.
Look at that graph. Look at that thing.
Oh, it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful, and it's not too jaggy. I mean, there's a bit of jaggy, but those, whatever. It's probably something you say.
End of Run is going to improve a lot as well. End of Run is probably the nicest looking UI, but I actually have so many improvements I want to make to it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's great. Last one here. Oh no, it's gone. Map by Mac. Dang it. But yeah. That's where we'll end it. Oh, I'm tired. I'm very tired.
Yeah.
It's gonna suck. I have to stay up a bit more, but did not get too much sleep last night. I do not recommend that. But hey, put some fires out.
Much in the last 2 nights. It's been horrible.
Yeah.
Put
out some fires though and got 099 out. That's all that matters in the end. Blood, sweat, and tears for 099.
Which one of the most depressing sounds in the universe is Gok's quiet, sort of tragic sort of sighing after some CI runner fails after 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
And it's It's like,
No,
oh yeah,
not
did
even.
you see
Sometimes
like
it's
what just
40.
like have you just seen the status on the run? He's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
But it works now, and I understand what's happening and the caveats of our current setup. So we got, areas we could improve if we want to pay more money, but otherwise, just gonna have to live with it. It takes a little bit longer. Cool. We will raid Little Ollie. I think that's just your eventual ruler, right? In Discord.
Yeah.
So cool. Hopefully you guys enjoy. Yeah, we love doing these things. I do, at least. I mean, I love doing them. I love answering questions about the game, explaining the game, and just kind of getting everybody on the same page, but also showing off with the awesome stuff the team's been working on, and then hanging out. Eventually down the line, right, we'll probably dwindle more into just hanging out with the streams. Feel free to follow if you want to see some dev streams. Tom's been doing a lot of
Losing my mind.
losing their mind over your website. But yeah, the raid message, as usual, is please play and then your favorite game mode. Mine's going to be that. So thank you all so much for watching. Catch you all in the next Q&A. I'll probably be, around in Tom's streams when they do them. But
oh yeah.
they do.
Well, other people are going to stream as well. Other fucking Momentum devs.
Yeah, exactly. You can do more. But
if anyone else wants to stream key, you don't even need to be on the team.
Yeah, exactly. We'll throw it on. That'll be the next key we drop in chat. Anyway, Take care, everybody. Enjoy.
Yeah, I just tweeted it. See ya.
All right.